A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry of the Circus. Jerry of the Circus.
Hey, Uncle Dan. Uncle Dan.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
What is it, Jerry?
Where are you going?
Right in here in the office wagon. See Mr. Randall.
About me, huh?
How did you know?
Bumps told me.
Oh.
Hey, what do you want to talk to Mr. Randall about me for?
Oh, just a little business, Jerry.
About my property in Montana?
Nope.
Oh, and what?
You'll find out later.
Oh, tell me now.
Let me talk with Mr. Randall first, then we'll let you in on it later.
Oh, I don't see why you won't tell me. What's the secret about?
Now, Jerry.
Well...
Where were you heading for?
Right over there to the ticket wagon. Jack Hastings has those pictures finished, and he's going to give me a set.
What pictures?
The pictures he took of me up on El Mundo.
Oh. Well, you run along and get them. You'll find out soon enough what I'm going to discuss with Mr. Randall.
Oh, all right. Come on, Rex.
Smile a little bit, Jerry.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
Come in.
Oh.
Oh, well, what's so funny, Dan?
That boy, Mr. Randall.
Oh, who?
Jerry.
Oh, what's he done now?
He's all put out because I won't tell him what I wanted to see you about.
Oh, well, I guess you can't blame him. He's in on about everything that happens around here.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what did you want to talk to me about, Dan?
Let me pull this chair up here. You've got a little time, haven't you?
Oh, sure thing. What's in your mind?
I guess you've heard I'm about set.
Mm-hmm. I heard you got another order for animals, and looks like you'll be putting out to Africa pretty soon.
That's it. I figure to get away within a couple of months, maybe sooner.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Dan.
Thanks.
But, what about this talk you want to have with me in regard to Jerry?
Well, I've been thinking, Mr. Randall. I'm the only relative Jerry has.
Yeah?
This expedition I'm going on may take me as far south as the Veldt.
Well, that's way down in South Africa.
Right. And I thought that Jerry should have someone to sort of look out after him. And I'm an uncle, and he isn't much good thousands of miles away and out of communication with the world for months at a time.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You never know just what might come up. As far as that goes, this big game hunting is dangerous business, and there's no telling what might happen to me.
Mm-hmm. That's right, but, well, what's your point?
Well, I think he should have a guardian. And, well, if it's not asking too much, Mr. Randall, I think you're the man for the job.
Asking too much? Why, say, you know how much I think of Jerry. Why, if that boy were my own son, I couldn't care for him any more than I do. It would be an honor, Dan.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Mr. Randall.
You know, Dan, I've been thinking quite a bit about Jerry's welfare and his future. He's going to amount to something someday, you mark my words.
Oh, I'm sure of that, all right.
But I don't think he's getting the proper training being with a circus. He's missing a lot of things a boy of his age should have.
I know. The boy should really have a home. But I haven't got a home, so I can't do anything about that. much as I'd like to.
Well, have you ever thought of sending him to a good school?
No, I haven't, Mr. Randall.
Well, I have, Dan. I've given it a lot of thought. In fact, I sent to several schools for catalogs and literature. Let's see, it was last week. I should get them here or at the latest our next stand tomorrow.
You have been thinking about Jerry.
Yeah. What do you think about a good school for Jerry?
I think it's a great idea.
Well, how about a good military school?
It would be the best thing in the world for him.
I'm glad you feel that way.
But what about the money for the tuition?
Oh, we'll work that out somehow.
It takes quite a bit of money to send a boy to a good school.
Well, you let me worry about that.
Okay. And I'll let you pick out the school, too. I don't know a thing about those things.
All right, fine. Now, what about this guardianship?
Well, as long as I'm his only relative, and likewise his guardian, and I'm willing to have his guardianship transferred to you, there shouldn't be any trouble at all.
Good. Well, then suppose we do it the first thing in the morning when we get into Winkler.
Fine. I'll meet you here at the office right after breakfast.
All right.
Here, Ranks, this way.
Sounds like Jerry now.
Yeah, that's him, all right. Yeah. Come in, Jerry.
Hey, look at these keen pictures of me on El Mundo.
Let me see them. Oh, say, those are good pictures. Here, Dan.
Hey, look at that one, where I'm hanging onto this trunk.
Oh, this is a good one, Jerry.
Yeah. Here's a dandy, too. This one where you're standing up on his head. Say, they're all good.
Did Jack give you these?
Uh-huh, for keeps.
That's all right.
Oh, here you are. You hang on to them now.
Don't you worry, I will.
Well, I guess that's about all we have to say, Mr. Randall. I'll see you in the morning.
Okay, Dan.
And I'll see you after a while, Jerry.
All right. Say, did you have your talk about me, Mr. Randall?
Yes, we did, Jerry, and you're pretty anxious to find out what we were talking about, aren't you?
Sure I am, but... Well, can you blame me?
No, I guess we can't blame you, Jerry. And I'm going to let you in on it.
Oh, swell.
How would you like me for a dad?
What?
I said, how would you like me for a dad?
Oh, I don't know what you mean.
Well, not exactly a dad, Jerry, but your Uncle Dan and I have decided that you've got to have a guardian, especially now that your uncle is going out on a long expedition.
And you're going to be my guardian?
Yep. How'd you like that?
Oh, that's keen. I would have picked you myself.
Fine. I'm glad you're satisfied.
Hey, when do you start?
Well, I start my new job tomorrow, Jerry. Yes, sir. Tomorrow you'll have to answer to me for everything.
I'm awful glad, Mr. Randall. I wouldn't want anybody else in the whole world for a guardian.
Yeah, we do get along pretty good at that, don't we?
I'll say we do.
Are you going to continue to listen to me and do as I say?
Sure. Whatever you think is best for me. Well, if you think it's the right thing, then I'm sure it is.
That's the way to talk, Jerry. Yes?
Mr. Randall?
Yes, come in.
I'm Mr. Wells, Mr. Randall, local representative of the Montana Overland Railroad.
Oh, come in. Glad to know you, Mr. Wells. Have a chair.
Thank you.
All right, Rags.
I take it you're looking for Jerry Dugan, Mr. Wells.
That's right.
Well, here's your man right here. Jerry, meet Mr. Wells.
How do you do, sir?
I'm glad to know you, Jerry. Although I did expect to meet someone a little older.
Well, you'll find Jerry a good little businessman.
Well, in that case, I'll have to be careful. I received a long-distance phone call just a while ago, right after our Mr. McNair got your wire and the information about your route.
Seems to me your company is mighty anxious about this property of Jerry's.
That's why I'll have to be careful. You know that we're anxious, and you might hold out for a pretty steep price.
And you want to buy my property?
That's why I'm here, young man.
Well, what do you want it for?
Well, let's start right at the beginning, Jerry.
Okay.
The M.O. Railroad is extending a spur line to link with our main road at a junction not far from your property. And we need your land to run the extension through.
I guess I'll have to admit I don't know what that means.
Oh, now, Jerry, and after me telling Mr. Wells you were a good businessman.
Well, I can't help it. I just don't understand.
In other words, Jerry, we want to run some new track right through your property. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, Mr. Randall. We had a hard time finding the owner of the land.
Oh, that's so?
All the county recorder's office showed was that it was owned by a Timothy Dugan.
Well, how did you finally find us?
Someone with our firm found out that Timothy Dugan was a circus man. And so the office got busy and sent out letters to every circus.
Well, that's almost as good as your detective work, Jerry.
I'll say.
Now, young man, what are you going to ask for the property?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what it's worth.
The actual worth, as recorded in the county assessor's office, is about $2,000.
Is that all?
Yep. It's out in the wide open spaces, Jerry. 35 miles to the nearest town.
Well, why don't you make Jerry an offer, Mr. Wells?
All right, I will. The Montana Overland authorized me to offer $5,000. Not because the property is worth that much, mind you, but it's worth that much to us because of the shortcut.
Well, how does that sound to you, Jerry?
Well, I don't know. You know, I haven't seen the land yet, and, well, it might have gold on it or silver. Well, it might be worth a whole lot more than that.
No, Jerry. The property has all been carefully gone over by a geologist, and it has no value in that regard.
Well, anyway, I think it's worth more than $5,000.
How about $6,000?
No, I'd rather keep
That's
it.
3 times as much as it's worth.
Now Jerry's showing his business ability.
You are hard to deal with, young man.
Yeah, it seems to me, Jerry, that's a pretty fair offer. If they build their track someplace else, it might be a long time before you get another chance to sell.
I know, but...
All right, Jerry. I'll give you my final bid. I'll go as high as the railroad will allow me. I'll give you $7,500. Is it a deal?
Well...
You want a day to think it over?
No. What do you think, Mr. Randall?
Oh, I don't want to advise you in this, Jerry. It's up to you.
It's really not any good to me. I mean, the property.
There's taxes to be paid on it every year. You mustn't forget that.
What do you say, Rag? You mean sell it? Okay, I will. You can have it for $8,000.
I'm sorry, Jerry. $7,500 is the best I can do.
Well, all right.
Good boy.
Yeah, you drove a hard bargain, Jerry.
I'll say you did. Now, who's your legal guardian, Jerry?
Well, I don't know. I guess my uncle.
That's right, yes. His uncle is today, but tomorrow we're taking out the papers that will make me his guardian.
Oh, is that so?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll have to make out some papers, too, Jerry. We'll have to get your uncle to sign them along with your signature. Have you got the deed to the property?
Uh-huh. It's in Bump's wagon, over in the trunk.
And where will we find your uncle?
Well, he'll most likely be out in the backyard someplace. You'll find him when you get back to the wagon.
I have a company check right here now. I'll just fill it out for you. Then we'll draw up these transfer papers, and we'll be all set.
Well, that's certainly a lot of money for a boy like you to have, Jerry.
I'll say it is. I wish I had a nest egg like that when I was a boy. I worked mighty hard for every penny I had.
Yeah, that goes for me, too.
Well, I'm going to work hard, too. You don't think I'm satisfied just because I got this money, do you?
Oh, well, that's the spirit, Jerry.
You ready now, Jerry?
You mean to go back and find Uncle Dan?
Yes.
Sure. Come on, Ray.
Well, Mr. Randall, it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to have made your acquaintance.
See you tonight, Mr. Randall.
Oh, okay, Jerry. Goodbye, Mr. Wells.
Goodbye, Mr. Randall.
Oh. Hey, Jerry.
Yes, sir?
Don't cash that check and spend it before you see me.
Well, why?
Well, because I've got an idea where you're going to spend part of it. If you don't see me on the train tonight, you be sure to come to my office wagon after we're set up at Winkler in the morning.
This program is for you, not your children. The subject is of vital importance to you as parents. This is the story of a vicious man.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. 2 small girls are reported missing. Somewhere between their homes and a neighborhood grocery store, they dropped from sight. Your job, find them.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke Fatima. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. And that's why Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. So, if you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, October 27th. It was cloudy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief detective. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from Central Division. It was 16 minutes past 8 p.m. when we got to South Peoria Street. Number 267.
Sure gloomy out.
Yeah, it's sultry.
Looks like we're in for some rain.
Yes, sir?
Police officers. Is Lieutenant Barker here?
Yes, you want to come in?
Thank you.
This is Sergeant Romero. I'm Sergeant Friday, Central Homicide.
How are you? My name's Claude Jimmerson. Lieutenant Barker's in here, on the phone.
Hi,
Captain.
Yeah. I'll let you know. Romero, Friday. How's it going, Lieutenant?
Not good. You met Mr. Jimmerson?
Oh, sure. Sit down, gentlemen. Would you like some coffee? I can have the wife make some.
No, thank you.
We didn't want to bother the girl's parents any more than we had to. Jimmerson here is one of the neighbors. He's been nice enough to let us use his phone.
The kids disappeared about 4 this afternoon, is that right?
At 3:45. Got out a local broadcast on him. Here's a missing report.
Thank you, Jim. Thelma Griswold, age 11. Barbara Sperry, 7-year-old. You talked to both families?
Yeah. About 3:30 this afternoon, Mrs. Griswold sent her daughter to the grocery store down on Sycamore Avenue. It's about 10 blocks from their home. The Sperry girl, a friend of hers, she went with her.
Anybody at the store remember seeing them?
According to the grocery clerk, they were there about 3:45. Mother gave the kids a note. They bought a loaf of white bread, a half pound of bacon, a dozen oranges.
Yeah.
That's right, Sergeant. I hope nothing's happened to the kids. We've been neighbors to the Griswolds for years. Sperry's, too.
Did you notice if the little girls were going in the direction of their home?
Yes, they were. The last time I saw them, they were about a block away, heading straight for home. Little Sperry girl had her dog with her. Champ, I think they call him. He's a collie.
And he's missing, too.
That's right, Joe. Not a trace of the kids or the dog. Juvenile officers from 77th Street have been checking the neighborhood for the past 3 hours.
And are the girls in the habit of wandering off like this?
Parents say no. It's the first time.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks very much, Mr. Jimmerson.
Well, not at all, Sergeant. Sure you won't have a cup of coffee?
No, thanks. We don't like to bother you, but we may have to check back with you later tonight. Routine questions.
If I can help out in any way to find those girls, let me know.
Yeah, we'll let you know, Jason. Thanks again.
Nice fellow.
Yeah, most of the neighbors we've talked to have been the same, anxious to help. Some of them are out with our juvenile officers now, trying to dig up a lead on the kids.
You checked the movie theater and the playgrounds in the neighborhood?
Everything, Joe.
Those some of your men from juvenile, Lieutenant?
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, Schwartz and Preston.
Lieutenant?
Yeah, Preston, what you got?
Found the kid's dog, the Tully.
Where?
Just above Sanchez Drive, up in the hills. Hope it's no indication.
How do you mean?
Dog's dead.
The collie dog was taken to a veterinarian on Jefferson Boulevard to be examined for cause of death. We put in a call to the office, and a special detail of men was assigned to aid in searching the area where the dog was discovered. We got out an all-points bulletin. The fathers of the missing girls and a dozen neighbors joined in the search. With the aid of flashlights, we started from the end of Sanchez Drive, and as best we could, we covered the ground for almost a full mile back into the Sunset Hills. 10:55 p.m. It started to thunder. The search went on. The hilly terrain and thick patches of scrub oak didn't make the job any easier. 11:15 p.m. Started to rain.
Watch your step, Joe. The rocks are slippery.
Yeah. I can't figure it. Not a sign.
What do you think?
I don't know. Wait a minute. Flash your light over here. No, here.
See something?
I thought I did. Yeah. Scrap of brown paper.
Who's this coming?
Sergeant, is that you?
Oh, Jimmerson? Yeah. What's that you got?
I found it right down there, just off the path.
Paper sack.
Look.
Loaf of bread, a few oranges, a package of bacon.
Where'd you find it?
Right down there. Mr. Holmquist and me, we were heading back to the cars when I saw this bag lying to one side of the bush.
We'll take it, Jimmerson. Thanks. Let's go, then.
That means that Barbara and Thelma were up here today.
You haven't mentioned that to either one of the girls' fathers.
No, I haven't.
Good. They're having a hard enough time as it is.
Friday, Ben, see him for a minute?
Yeah. Excuse us, Mr. Jimmerson.
Certainly.
Yeah?
Schwartz and I checked with the vet who examined the dog.
What'd he say?
Says the dog was beaten to death.
We made another attempt to continue the search of the Sunset Hills area for the two missing girls, but the heavy rain and the darkness made the job impossible. The rain had also destroyed the physical evidence at the spot where we had found the grocery bag. We went back to Jimmerson's house and called the office again. Another detail of men was assigned to be on hand to help in the search when it resumed at daylight. Chief of Detectives Thad Brown and Captain Harry Elliott of Homicide were notified of late developments. At 25 minutes past midnight, we started to retrace the steps of the two missing girls from the time they left their homes at 3:30 the afternoon before. We covered every foot of ground along the route which the girls reportedly took on their way to the grocery store. We got the grocery clerk out of bed and interviewed him again. We talked with two elderly ladies in the neighborhood who said that they had seen the missing children between 3 and 4 p.m. the previous afternoon. They could add nothing to what Jimmerson had already told us. 3:30 a.m. It was still raining hard. We drove back to South Peoria Street and sat in the car. The lights were still burning in the homes of the missing youngsters, the Griswolds and the Sperrys. Jimmerson asked us in for coffee again. This time we accepted. We went in and sat around the kitchen table. Glenn Chandler and Stendhal from Homicide, Lieutenant Barker, Ben, and myself. Jimmerson's wife made the coffee. There wasn't much talking.
You want more coffee?
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, Miss Jimmerson. Thank you.
You want some more?
No, thanks. It's fine.
You want some more coffee?
You got enough there?
Sure, Lieutenant. Plenty. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Fill the sugar bowl, will you, Amy? Empty.
There isn't any more. You never do things right. I told you to get some at the store today.
You told me?
Yeah, that's all right, Jimmerson. Never use it anyway. Thanks.
Never do anything right.
All right, Amy, go to bed. She's a little upset. Not feeling too well.
Well, I guess we better be going, Jimmerson. Thanks.
No, that's all right, Sergeant. She didn't mean you. It's this whole thing, I guess, got everybody on edge.
There's still a chance they may be all right.
How do we explain the bag of groceries we found back in the hills and the dog?
If anybody's hurt those kids, we'll take care of him. Right here in this neighborhood, he'll get what's coming to him.
Somebody at your back door.
Oh, yes, I'll get.
Sergeant Friday here?
Yes, he's here. Come on in. Sergeant.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
What do you got?
Mr. Griswold, Joe. Says he'd like to have you come over and talk to him. Figures it'll make his wife feel better, all broken up.
Sure. Come on, Ben. We'll be over at the Griswolds, Lieutenant.
All right.
Thank you for the coffee, Jameson.
Not at all. If you get a chance, tell Griswold how sorry everybody is. We'll help all we can.
Sure.
Bad night.
Yeah. Did you check by the Sperry's house, Tom?
Mm-hmm. Mother's trying to get a little sleep. Father's still sitting up. There he is, by the window.
Yeah.
This is the Griswold home.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. They're going to ask questions. What are we going to tell them?
I don't know.
They could be all right. Kids do funny things sometimes.
Maybe, but they don't murder their pet dog. Like a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, the police officer comes to realize that there's only so much that can be learned from his books. Time and experience make up the rest. The police manual contains no stock answers for the grieving wife who has just lost a husband in an auto accident. No firm but polite reply to the belligerent motorist handed a traffic tag. No words of reassurance for distraught parents of missing girls, ages 11 and 7. Whether it's trapping criminals or comforting parents, you find the right answer the hard way. There isn't any other way. We sat and talked with the Griswolds for a full hour. We didn't tell them about the dog or the bag of groceries. Until the fate of the two little girls was definitely decided, we figured giving them the information would serve no purpose except to add to their worries. 5 minutes past 5 a.m., almost a full hour until daylight. It was still raining.
George, maybe the officers would like some breakfast before they leave.
No, thank you kindly, Miss Griswold. We had some sandwiches about an hour ago.
Sure I can't fix you something? No trouble.
No, sir. Thanks anyway.
Thanks.
Terrible night. Rain.
Now, Helen, just a little while longer. We'll find the girls. It'll be daylight soon.
Mrs. Griswold, some of your neighbors tell us that there were two strangers here in the neighborhood this afternoon.
Yes, but that was earlier. Mrs. Nelson next door and I were talking about it. One was a gardener looking for work. The other one was selling books.
What time were they around, ma'am?
Book salesman was here about noon. The gardener about 2 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. How is your daughter about strangers? Does she make friends easily?
No, not at all. Thelma's very careful about that. She'd never go with a stranger, I'm sure of it.
Why do you ask that question, Sergeant? Have you found out something?
No, sir. No, we haven't. It's just a routine check, that's all.
Can't understand it. And girls. Out in all this rain, something must have happened. I know.
Now, Helen, you've been doing fine. Don't let down now.
Joe, Chief Brown's car just pulled up outside.
Thanks, sir. Ben?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Griswold, Miss Griswold.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Here, let me show you the door.
We'll meet at the end of Sanchez Drive, Mr. Griswold, about 6 a.m. Should be light enough by then.
Oh, all right. Oh, Sergeant, there is a chance, isn't there? The girls are all right.
There's a good chance. You try not to worry. Come on, Ben. Preston. Tom, you want to check with Barker again and see if any of his men have a line on the two men here in the neighborhood yet?
Right.
If you want us, we'll be in Thad Brown's car.
All right, Sergeant.
What time you got, Joe?
20 to 6. It's getting light now.
Yeah. Let's get out of this rain.
Gentlemen, you look a little wet.
I could stand a dry pair of shoes.
Still no trace of the kids?
You heard about the dog and the bag of groceries?
Yeah. Nothing else sensitive?
No. It'll be light in a couple of minutes, and we can start searching the hills again.
I ordered up another detail of men to help. They're parked up on Sanchez Drive. Captain Elliott's with them.
Good. We can use all the help we can get. That's rough terrain. There's a lot of ground to cover up there.
Guess you talked to everybody in the neighborhood?
Yeah. Parents, too.
They help you much?
Well, they told us there were two strangers in the neighborhood before the girls disappeared. We're having them checked out.
Yeah.
Griswold thinks the kids would be safe on that count. Says his daughter's afraid of strangers, never goes near them.
Mm-hmm. How much area did you cover in the hills last night?
About a full mile, would you say, Ben? Mm-hmm. Starting from Sanchez Drive straight back into the brush.
It wasn't too thorough. Not enough men, not enough light.
Well, you got plenty of both right now.
10 minutes past 6 a.m., Tuesday, October 28th. The search of the Sunset Hills area was resumed. 150 officers spread out over a 2-square-mile area with orders to probe every foot of ground. With them were almost 50 volunteers from the neighborhood. The rain settled to a cold, steady downpour. The mud was ankle-deep. 8:30 a.m., no sign of the missing youngsters. 10:30, still no sign. The search went on. The neighborhood restaurant owner sent out 5-gallon jugs of hot coffee for members of the searching party. After 6 continuous hours combing the hills, still no results. Chief Brown, Ben, and I went to the car for a cup of coffee and a cigarette.
It's got me beat. Those kids wandered off. They had to come in this direction.
Well, they couldn't have headed toward town. Somebody would have noticed them, sure.
Yeah. No leads at all on that APB you sent out?
2. They both fizzled.
The youngsters up in those hills someplace. Gotta be. Are you two ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Sure doesn't figure. 2 square miles. We've been over it twice.
We'll go over it again. Find them.
Thelma Griswold, age 11. Barbara Sperry, age 7. Tuesday, October 28th, 2 p.m. They were still missing. Another detail of men from Metropolitan Division were dispatched to aid in the hunt. The daily newspapers played the story across the front page. Wire services bulletined the news across the country. Radio newscasters covered the story at the scene. On South Peoria Street, the 2 mothers sat in their homes and waited. The search went on. It stopped raining.
Did you cover that patch of underbrush over there, Joe?
Yeah. Watch it.
Yeah. I'm tired.
Oh, yeah. Let's swing up this way.
All right.
Anything?
No, nothing.
All right, come on. Almost 2:30.
Yeah. Too much coffee, sour stomach.
Me too. You got a cigarette? I'm out.
Oh, here.
Thanks.
Riley! Romero! Come on down!
Preston? What do you got? What is it?
They found him! They found the kid!
Come on. Watch it, Ben. Bad spot here.
Yeah, it's slippery.
Thelma Griswold had brown hair and brown eyes, about 4 feet 6 inches tall. She had a bunch of wildflowers in her hands. Barbara Sperry had blonde hair and blue eyes. She held a bunch of wildflowers, too.
Friday?
Chief? Who found them?
Jimmerson, some of the neighbors.
Oh.
Dear God.
Preston.
Yes, sir?
Get something, cover him up.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Yeah.
Been a cop 32 years and never seen anything like that. I hope I never do again.
Must have been a maniac. Had to be.
The law is kind, depraved.
Anybody call the crime lab?
Yeah, the area's been cleared.
Family's been notified?
Not yet. I'll have to tell them. Do you want to come along?
No, that wouldn't be any good.
2 lives, what can you say?
Whoever did it ran up a big bill.
They're going to pay it.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. Now listen to these authentic reports about Fatima cigarettes.
Sales reports show that Fatima has more than doubled its smokers from coast to coast.
Smokers' reports give the actual reason for this astonishing gain.
Hear what Mr. W.B. Williams of New York has to say about Fatima.
I like its even mildness, no irritation. There's something about the taste of Fatima that doesn't seem to be in any other cigarette.
In the words of Miss Marie Blacker of Chicago,
my friends are switching to Fatima, too. It's much the best of long cigarettes.
Listen to this statement by Miss Cecilia Marr of Los Angeles.
I like Fatima best. It's so mild and has a wonderful flavor.
Yes, from all reports, Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
5 minutes after the bodies were discovered, the hunt for the psychopathic killer was underway. Lee Jones and his crew from the crime lab arrived and took pictures of everything that could possibly have a bearing on the crime. Physical evidence was hard to find. The heavy rain had destroyed any possible chance there might have been of finding footprints. When the crew from the crime lab was finished, the coroner arrived and took the bodies to the county morgue for autopsy. An immediate roundup of all known sexual psychopaths in the area was ordered. They were taken into homicide for questioning. So were the people from the South Peoria Street neighborhood whom we had talked with previously. The questioning went on all through the night. Together with a half a dozen officers from homicide detail, we narrowed down the field. Wednesday, October 29th, 7 a.m. We checked in with Chief of Detectives Thad Brown.
Gentlemen, you must be tired.
Got a few hours sleep last night. Could use a few more.
Sorry, we have to keep moving on this.
Did you see the papers this morning?
Yeah, they're like everybody else, crying too late. Someday people are going to learn you don't fool with these degenerates. You take precautions or you get the consequences. There's no in between.
There's usual talk going around town. It's supposed to be all our fault, letting the psychos run loose.
We don't make the laws, we enforce them. Till we got something to work with, laws with teeth in them, these atrocities are going to go on.
Nobody seems to care. We pick them up, they serve a few days, pay a fine, and they waltz out of here. Nobody cares.
Sure, pity them, don't cure them. Nature played a trick on them. Feel sorry for them until they kill a kid. It's not a firm law to cover them as they are. We have to wait till they murder somebody.
We got a better law for mad dogs. We don't let them run loose till they bite somebody.
Those two little girls ought to prove something. How's the parents making out?
What you might expect. Shocked, hysterics. Excuse me. Brown speaking. Who? Send him in. Chandler, they finished questioning that bunch we brought in yesterday.
Oh, Chief. Ben, Joe?
How many possibles, Glenn?
None. 4 we had left established airtight alibis. We checked their registrations, gave them their releases.
Where does that leave us?
We start from scratch.
I don't think so, Chief.
You got a hunch?
A little better than that, Joe. I'm sold.
What do you mean?
You said the parents told you the little girls were afraid of strangers, wouldn't go near them.
Yeah, that's right.
We got the same reactions from some of the neighbors we talked to the day before yesterday.
Yeah?
Now we find out that all the known psychos in the area are clear, perfect alibis.
Well, you figure the killer couldn't have been a stranger to the little girls.
That's right. There were only 2 strangers in the whole neighborhood the day the girls disappeared, the gardener and the salesman. And both of them have been checked and cleared.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we know, the little girls wouldn't have gone that far up in the hills alone of their own accord, and they wouldn't have gone with a stranger. They had to be lured there and by someone they knew.
Any ideas?
Could have been one of the neighbors.
No, we checked every possible out there, Glenn. We questioned them 6 times.
So have I. There's one that might fit.
Who's that?
Claude Jimmerson.
Glenn Chandler had been a veteran homicide officer before Ben or I joined the department. He was tall, quiet, and reserved. He had a good reason for everything he did, for everything he thought. The 3 of us sat down and tried to put the pieces together. Number 1, Chandler uncovered a point that Ben and I had missed completely. Jimmerson and his wife were not close friends of either the Sperry family or the Griswolds. For a near stranger, he showed an extraordinary interest in the welfare of the children after they disappeared. Number 2, Ben and I discovered that Jimmerson's wife had an 8-year-old boy by a previous marriage. The child did not live with them. Mrs. Jimmerson told Chandler that her husband had been cruel to the boy. She refused to elaborate. Number 3, Jimmerson was the last person to see the children alive. Number 4, the bodies of the children had been well hidden in the underbrush. Jimmerson found them. Number 5, Jimmerson had bent over backwards to make friends with the investigating officers right from the start. As any veteran officer can tell you, that's not the usual attitude. At 8:30 a.m., Chandler, Ben, and I left the office. We spent the day digging back 15 years into Jimmerson's life. We got back to the office just after midnight. Thursday, October 30th, 10 a.m. We checked in.
Okay, Joe, all ready.
Thanks. Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
Morning, Mr. Jimmerson.
Oh. How are you, Sergeant? Glad to see you.
Sit down. Sorry to bother you again.
Not at all. Glad to help. Anything new turn up?
Did you kill those 2 little girls?
That's a funny thing to ask. Of course not. You know that.
We ask everybody the same thing. Hope you're not offended.
Oh, you kind of surprised me. I didn't know.
Did you kill those little girls?
I don't understand. I told you no. Of course not.
It's a stock question. Routine. Did you kill them?
Now, look, Sergeant, how many times do I have to tell you no?
Sorry. You don't have any children, do you?
No, we don't.
No stepchildren?
No. Why?
Before you moved out to South Peoria Street, you and the wife lived out in West L.A., didn't you? Kelton Avenue?
Well, yes. How'd you know?
You recall a Mary Gibbs out there?
Gibbs? No.
6-year-old girl. You were charged with molesting her. That was back in 1944.
They were crazy. They never proved it.
Before Kelton Avenue, you lived in Santa Monica on 10th Street. Is that right?
Yes.
It was an 8-year-old girl. Donna Honrath?
That kid lied, too. She asked me to fix her doll buggy. I never went near her.
What about your stepson? Why isn't he living with you? Why did your wife send him to live with her sister?
Amy's crazy. I never harmed the boy. We didn't get along, that's all. He got on my nerves.
You've had 4 jobs in the past 5 years. What were they?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You were a janitor at a grammar school down the south end of town, then a gardener at a children's playground. Then you were a shoe salesman, children's shoes. Then you worked at another grammar school.
What does all this mean, anyway? What are you getting at?
Have you ever been in jail?
Once. 6 months. There was some trouble.
What kind of trouble?
I didn't know what I was doing. I was drinking. I didn't mean to bother the kid. Well?
That's all, Jimmerson. Routine questioning. You can go now.
Oh, thanks. I hope you haven't got the wrong idea about me. I like children, that's all.
Sure. Thanks for coming in.
Well, not at all, Sergeant. Thing I can do to help. Well, goodbye.
Say, Jimmerson, I almost forgot. There is one thing.
Oh?
Since you're the one who found the little girls, we'll have to have you identify the bodies.
It won't take long. Morgue's just across the street, up the block.
Well, I'd like to help you, but I got an appointment.
All you have to do is look at them. Won't take you long. Come on, let's go.
I'd like to help, Sergeant, but I don't take these things well. I get sick.
We'll make it try. Out this way.
Raining again.
I'm sorry, Sergeant. I don't think I'd better go.
Just identify them, that's all. Won't take a minute.
Maybe if we had a drink before we went in.
You can have one after.
And watch it. There's heavy traffic.
Yeah, lights change. We'll have to wait.
I need a drink. I can't go in that place without a drink.
You'll be all right. Okay, let's go. Morgue's up this way.
I can't look at him. I get sick. Don't make me.
Nothing to it. You'll see.
Here we are. We went down the driveway. It's a shortcut.
This way.
Hi, Joe. Can I help you?
Yeah, Archie. Those little girls. Thelma Griswold. Barbara Sperry.
Oh, yeah. This way.
Please.
Right here, Joe. Yeah, Thelma Griswold.
Uncover. Jimmerson?
Yeah. Thelma.
This one?
Barbara. Little one.
You killed him, didn't you?
The dog jumped at me. She started to yell. Put my hand over her mouth. Then the other kid. I hit them. Too hard. They cried.
Joe?
That's all.
All right. Huh?
Let's go.
It wasn't my fault. I like kids. They didn't understand.
Neither do I, mister. Come on.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 18th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here's the actual report.
From coast to coast, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
They find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes. Claude Willis Jimmerson was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. On April 23rd at 10 a.m., he was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton.
You're tuned for the stars on NBC.
Tonight to ancient Egypt. The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations presents Escape, a new series of programs of which this, the sixth, is The Ring of Thoth by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Wherever the English language is spoken, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is known for two things: his immortal character, Sherlock Holmes, and his unshakable belief in life beyond the grave. So great is the stature of Sherlock Holmes that Conan Doyle's earlier stories are all but forgotten. Stories like The Ring of Thoth, which so clearly anticipates the author's later fascination with spiritualism. We invite you now to escape to ancient Egypt and The Ring of Thoth, an adventure told in the words of John Vansittart Smith, British Egyptologist.
I arrived in Paris on the 3:14 express from Dieppe and went immediately to my hotel in the Rue de Lafitte. My actions so far had worked out according to my planned schedule. I slept for exactly 2 hours, got up and dressed, donned a greatcoat, walked down the Avenue de l'Opéra, and entered the side door of the Louvre. Once inside, and amid surroundings entirely familiar to me, I made my way immediately to the Chamber of Egyptian Relics, or more specifically, to the cabinet in that chamber which contained the El Kab collection of papyri. Drawing out the particular roll I wished, I placed it on a nearby table, sat down, began to study it, when I noticed one of the museum attendants who was polishing some brasswork across the room. His face struck me as being curiously Egyptian. On sudden impulse, I decided to cross the room and speak to him. Approaching closer, I was impressed at once by the appearance of his skin. Drawn tautly across temple and cheek, it seemed as glazed and as shiny as varnished parchment, and out of narrowed slits there glowed two green and vitreous eyes, misty with a dry shininess, eyes of a kind never seen in a human head before. I beg your pardon. I need one of the papyri from the Memphis collection. Could you tell me where it is?
You'll find it in the last cabinet at the end of the room, monsieur.
Thank you. You're Egyptian, aren't you?
No, monsieur. I am a Frenchman.
But, I thought perhaps...
If monsieur will excuse me now, I have other work to do.
I went back to the table and took up the papyrus I had been studying before. But my former calmness in translating the intricate hieroglyphics was gone, and out of the depths of my mind welled a feeling of terrible familiarity. I concentrated more deeply on my studies, pushing aside those thoughts conducive to mental turmoil, and at last, worn out by the inward struggle, I fell asleep. I awoke with a start, not remembering where I was. It was quite dark for a moment. Then gradually my eyes focused on the glints of moonlight reflected from the glass tops of specimen tables, from the shiny varnish of the mummy cases. And I realized with a feeling of sudden dread that I was alone in the Egyptian room of the Museum of the Louvre, locked in for the night. Saw at that moment, approaching through the moonlit halls, a dim yellow flame. Nearer and nearer it came until I could perceive above it, as though floating in the air, the eerie, glistening face of the man I'd spoken to earlier. I shrank into the dark shadow of my corner, and he passed without seeing me, stopping before the mummy cases a few yards away. Scarcely daring to breathe, I watched him place the light on a table and begin feverishly to examine the tags on the specimens. In a moment he gave a cry of delight, and, drawing one of the mummies from its resting place, laid it on the table in the full glow of the lantern and set to work. He was unwinding the wrappings from the head of the corpse. A few turns revealed a tumbled cascade of black curls. A few more, the snow-white brow, then the delicate nostrils, and at last, the full, warm, passionate lips, the face of the most beautiful woman the world has ever seen.
Ma pauvre petite, so long it has been, so very long. You must forgive me, beloved.
I could hardly believe my eyes. The man was obviously in love with this mummy. After a while, he left the body, turning his attention to one of the glass cases filled with an assortment of rings. From the pocket of his garment, he'd taken a small glass bottle containing some kind of liquid, and he used this now to test the rings, rejecting them one after another. Then, at last...
This is it. It's the one. At last I found it. The ring of Thoth.
In his excitement, he dropped the bottle, and I gasped in surprise at the sudden sound.
Who's there?
I beg your pardon.
So it is you. No, do not move.
I didn't mean to spy on you. I fell asleep.
Who are you, monsieur?
I am John Van Smith, a student of Egyptology.
No matter. You will observe this knife.
Yes.
Had I discovered you 5 minutes ago, monsieur, I should have slain you without a word.
What?
As it is now, I have found the ring. But I warn you not to interfere with me in any way.
I really haven't the slightest intention of it. After all, I'm only here by accident.
Perhaps.
I say, you shouldn't have unwrapped that mummy, you know. It's starting to deteriorate already.
Oh, my beloved.
Yes, before our eyes, the lovely face was crumbling, the hair falling away, the skin shriveling and cracking, the lips fading. The man hovered over the decaying body a moment, murmuring sorrowfully, and then he turned again.
No matter. That will not make the least difference in a little while. Of what importance is the dead shell, so long as her spirit waits for me at the other side of the veil?
What are you talking about? What is it you're proposing to do?
Tonight, monsieur, I have ended a quest and broken at last the ancient curse. Nothing now can prevent my joining her.
Are you actually claiming that you knew her?
She was Atma, daughter of the governor of Abaris, and both she and I lived in the reign of Tutmosis 3,500 years ago.
You're obviously mad.
Perhaps, but not in the way you think. There may be design in this, your coming here. It may be decreed that I should leave some account behind as a warning to other mortals as rash as myself. Very well, then. So be it. I am, as you surmised, an Egyptian. My name was Sasra, and my father had been the chief priest of Osiris in the great temple of Abaris, which stood in those days upon the Bubastic branch of the Nile. I was brought up in the temple and was trained in all those mystic arts and sciences known to the priesthood. Of all the mysteries that I studied, none intrigued me more than the question of life and death. And even to this question, in time, I found an answer.
But for a man to live beyond his allotted span of years, Master Sastra, the gods have not so ordained it.
Then perhaps they will have to revise their ordinances, now that I've discovered their secret.
'Tis not well to jest. I tremble, for though I've labored in your service for a year, I knew not the goal of your endeavors. May Osiris forgive me.
Ah, what a pity you look upon it this way. For I'd thought that in return for your assistance, I should grant you, too, the gift of centuries of indestructible life.
I would not have it, Master Sastra, and I beg that you, too, forgo it.
Forgo it? I introduced the fluid into my veins 1 month ago.
Oh, no. Then you are lost indeed.
Lost? Do you call this being lost? Let's see now. My heart should be about here.
Oh, that knife. No, don't. Master, you've killed yourself.
Not at all. See? It bleeds a little. But in a while, the wound will close up. And that's all.
It's immortality.
No, I shall not live forever. But for 5,000, perhaps 6,000 years, I shall be immune from all dangers of violence, poison, disease, starvation.
You cannot die?
Now, with this fluid in my veins, nothing in this world can end my life.
Doctor, are you there?
Someone called.
It's Parmes, the priest of Thoth. In here, my friend. Enter.
Oh. Greetings, Sosra, master of sciences, and his worthy assistant.
If you will excuse me, masters, I go to make my peace with Osiris.
What's wrong with your helper, Sosra?
The thought of a well-nigh eternal life has frightened him into gibbering superstition.
Then you still believe in the discovery?
Believe in it? Parmes, my friend. Look.
By the heavens, what a scar.
It pierces the heart. It was done only a moment ago with this knife. See? I can put it back in the wound. So.
You suffered no ill effects?
None whatever.
And if I turn the knife in the wound, that would do you no harm?
You may try. I feel nothing. I walked last week in the snake pits by the river, was struck innumerable times. It caused no harm.
By the great Anubis.
Will you have it then? Out of all Egypt, I have chosen only you, my friend, to share the gift. But the choice is yours.
I'd be a fool to refuse, Sosra. I'll have it. And now, what must I do?
First, we must open a vein in your wrist, like this. Then, we drip the elixir slowly into your bloodstream. Steady now.
I don't feel anything.
There is no sensation. It is done.
So simple? There is nothing more?
That's all. And now done, it can never be changed.
It seems incredible, supernatural.
It's no more than a chemical discovery, but with it, while all this about us passes away, you and I, Parmes, will live on for 50 centuries. Think of it, my friend. 5,000 years of life.
5,000 years. Only the two of us.
Listen, that noise. Some procession must be passing in the street.
I have an idea what it may be. Come on over to the window.
Beloved of heaven, clear the road, stand back, and make way for the loveliest pearl of deep.
She's being carried on the shoulders of slaves, Parmes. She must be some woman of rank.
Her name is Atma. She's the daughter of the new governor.
The curtains are drawn back. Perhaps we'll have a look at her. Oh, Parmes.
Is she not beautiful?
She is the most desirable, the only utterly desirable woman I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, I saw her yesterday at the temple.
Then you're most fortunate, my friend. You've had 24 more hours to dream about her than I've had. I must know her, Parmes. I must make her love me. I'll send gifts. I'll call on her tomorrow. Oh, it has to be done. I couldn't wait any longer than tomorrow.
A visitor calls upon the beloved of the universe. He is Sasra, priest of the temple of Osiris.
Well, bid him approach.
Enter, Sasra.
Oh, most beautiful of all Egypt, I cast myself at your feet.
That's a noble ambition. But wouldn't it be much better to sit here beside me and watch the fish in the fountain?
Much better.
You will all withdraw, except you, my girl. Play something for us, at a distance. Well, Sasra, for so I understand you're called, am I to deem this an official visit by a master of the temple?
Oh, Atma, my beloved. That is, no, it is not official.
Oh? Perhaps then you wish to see my father on personal business of your own.
Oh, no. No. I shall pay my respects to him at some other time.
Then could it be I you've come to see?
Yes.
And since you've said the visit's not official, your reason must be a personal one.
Oh, it is.
Well, what is it?
Atma, I have known women who are famed for their beauty throughout the valley of the Nile. But not one, not all of them, are so lovely as you.
How thoughtful of you to come here and tell me.
Atma, I've no wish to intrude my desires, my hopes, beyond such extent as you may wish to hear. But, I'm finding this very difficult.
Sasha, I've been told that you're a master of science, that you've unlocked the secrets of the universe, learned all the mysteries of nature itself.
Your informants have been most generous.
Yes, I'm inclined to think so.
What?
Because you've discovered nothing at all about such a simple thing as a woman's heart.
What do you mean?
I come from Thebes, and the women of Thebes are warm-blooded, passionate, and we know what we want.
Atma.
I saw you first 3 days ago. Why do you think I told my bearers to carry me down that street beneath your window?
And so, miracle of all miracles, Atma loved me. Worshipping the very ground her feet had trod upon, I lived through those glorious weeks, and with it all, our love grew apace. But one thing bore heavily upon my mind, and I came to speak of it more often to my beloved as we sat and talked by the fountain in her garden.
Look, Sasha. See how the stars shine from the water?
Yes, Atma. More lovely even than their glow in the heavens.
Are they very old, the stars?
Very old, beloved. As old as time.
And they'll go on gleaming there, long years after you and I are gone and forgotten.
Atma, my dearest, we've talked of this before, and I know it distresses you to think of it.
No, Sasha. Tonight everything is beautiful. We shall not talk of death.
Not of death, but of life. They're only counterparts of one another.
Oh, if we could only live together. Grow old together and die in the same instant.
But how much better to live and love 5,000 years. Will you not do it? Does so long a time seem too great for the love you feel for me?
Beloved, no. The time would pass in an instant, and the loss then be no easier borne than now.
Then why draw back? Will you not take the elixir now, tonight?
I'm afraid, Sasra. We'll anger the gods.
We will outlive the gods.
They will have their revenge.
Whatever occurred, we'd be together.
Yes, I've thought of that. Were it not so, I'd not even consider doing it.
Then you'll do it. Atma, you'll do it.
I need more time, only a little more to assure myself.
How much?
Tonight, Sasra. Give me tonight.
Every hour you live without the elixir is another hazard. All right, then. Tonight. And may Isis herself guard over you until the fluid courses in your veins. And so, on that accursed night, I went to my chambers and slept. And while I slept, the moon of Isis shone over the delta of the Nile. Shone but to light as foul a scene as was ever done on earth. Some hours had passed away.
Master Sasha, awaken! Master, awaken at once.
You know, who is it?
Oh, what a terrible thing has transpired this night.
You're one of Atma's slaves. Why do you come here?
Oh, Master.
What has happened? What's the matter? Speak.
It is she, the light of the world.
Tell me what has happened to her.
Master. Brigands came in the night. She is dead.
You lie. Oh,
Sasra, the slave speaks the truth.
Parmes, my friend. What foul joke's behind these words of his?
It's not a joke. Atma is dead. You, slave, depart from us.
Yes, Master. By your gracious leave, I depart.
Such a thing cannot be. Oh, of course. The two of you planned it together, sought to frighten me out of my wits. It's very amusing, really. But I was terrified for a moment.
Atma no longer lives. She was stabbed to death only a short while ago.
No. Oh, no. She can't be dead.
She is dead, Sosra, and for all eternity.
I must go to her. Surely something can be done.
I killed her.
What is it? What has happened?
I killed her.
Oh.
I struck her through the heart with this very knife.
You, Parmes. Why?
Because she loved you.
Why?
And because I loved her.
You, my friend.
She would not look at me.
And for that you would lose her to both of us forever?
To both of us, Sosra? I think not.
By the living Osiris, give me that knife.
That's it. Strike. Again. Here's the heart. Here, strike. Again and again, Sosra.
Wait. What foolishness. I cannot kill you.
You're wrong, Sosra. You have killed me. Those were grievous blows.
But the fluid, that cursed elixir of life, it runs in your veins as well as mine.
True. But in mine is also the antidote.
You lie. There is no antidote.
Yes, day and night. These many weeks I've worked. And I found it.
You couldn't have. Is there more of it?
Yes, a very little. But you'll never find it.
Where is it? Tell me where it is.
In the ring, Sasha. In the ring of Thoth. And you'll never find it.
I will. I must.
Go on. Live your 50 centuries. And every hour of them, think. It was your hand that struck me down. With the same knife that took her from you. Think while I go to join her.
Oh, no. You're not dead. You're not. No. 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 For months, I searched the papers, test tubes, and the chemical flasks in the chambers of the dead priest of Thoth. Searched and found nothing. I sifted the sands where he'd walked, questioned his slaves and servants, and learned nothing. Every moment of my life, my terrible and unwanted life, was devoted to an unceasing hunt for the ring of Thoth, and all to no avail. And in time, a horde of barbarians overran the city of Abaris. And the sands of the desert buried forever the last of my hopes. And so began the deadly march of the centuries. How can you know how terrible a thing time is? You, who've experienced only the narrow course between the cradle and the grave. I've floated down the whole stream of history. I have traveled in all lands, and I have dwelt with all nations. Every tongue is the same to me. I need not tell you how slowly the centuries drifted by. Centuries without end. Years without number. And so, I came to be one day, a few weeks past, in San Francisco, where I came across a certain item in a newspaper.
Among recent discoveries in Lower Egypt is an unopened mummy case containing, according to the inscription on the outside, the body of the daughter of the governor of Abaris in the days of Tutmosis. In the same burial crypt, dropped into a crevice between the stones, was found a large platinum ring of singular design. Both specimens have been sent for examination to the Louvre in Paris.
So, I presume you came here to Paris, obtained this position of attendant in the Louvre with the idea of...
Only yesterday, Monsieur Smith. As you may imagine, I had little difficulty in convincing the director of my knowledge of Egyptian relics.
The ring, then? The one I saw you remove from the case is the ring of Thoth?
Without question.
You've discovered how the ring must be used?
The secret is obvious. See, the stone is hollow, and drops of liquid move within it.
Have you considered the possibility that this antidote may not perform the function which has been claimed for it?
It will, monsieur. And there'll be no need of a knife to strike me down. My death was due in a time long past. And only this damnable fluid that runs through my veins supports the weight of my years. I delay no longer. I go to join her where she waits for me in death.
No, don't.
Oh. Too late. I've broken the gem. I've taken the antidote.
I stood and watched him with a terrible fascination, but without pity and without compassion. He turned away from me and reeled toward the mummy he'd left on the table across the room. But even as he turned, the parchment skin of his face cracked and shredded. Discolored lips shriveled away from the yellow teeth. The vitreous eyes withered into nubs of formless plasm, and the full weight of his 3,500 years descended on him in an instant. I left that room of death and walked over the marble floors toward the exit, my footsteps echoing through the empty halls, even as they had echoed for so long in the corridors of time. And I wondered as I walked if Sasra knew now what I knew, that the antidote in the ring of Thoth can bring death to the body, but not to the soul. And I wondered in what cloak of flesh his spirit now dwelt, just as I, Parmes, priest of Thoth, had for the last 40 years of my 3,500 dwelt in the body of John Vansittart Smith.
Doctor, he's so little and so red.
Well, now, he's only 2 days old.
But he doesn't look a bit like either his father or me.
Give him time, my dear. All babies look pretty much alike when they're first born.
I don't know. His eyes, or... It's silly, of course, but he looks like an Egyptian.
Produced and directed by William N. Robeson, The Ring of Thoth by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, with Jack Webb as Sorcerer, Thomas Freebairn Smith as Vansittart Smith, and Joan Banks as Atma. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Fewer. Escape is presented by the Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations each week at this time. Next week, we invite you to escape to a raft in the South Pacific with John Russell in his unforgettable story of human frailty, The Fourth Man. And so good night until next week at this time, when again it will be time to escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. 16 persons have been robbed and beaten senseless. The victims described the assailant as a tall, beautiful woman. Your job, stop her.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke Fatima. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. And that's why Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. So, if you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke Fatima. Ladies and gentlemen, next week marks the beginning of National Crime Prevention Week, sponsored by your local police department. These 7 days are set aside to call your attention to the fact that your police officer, to better ensure the safety of your community, relies on the cooperation of the individual citizen. We feel that crime prevention should be observed not 7, but 365 days a year.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, October 3rd. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way over from the city hall, and it was 6:55 p.m. when we got to the county hospital, Ward 9800, room 12.
This way, gentlemen. The third bed.
Thank you.
Here we are. Please try not to excite him, Sergeant. He's had a pretty hard time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Make your visit as brief as possible.
We will, thanks.
Mr. Maloney, how you feeling?
Not so good. You fellas doctors?
No, sir. Police officers. This is Sergeant Romero. My name's Friday. Robbery detail.
Oh. Find out anything yet?
Still checking, Mr. Maloney. We'd like to have you tell us exactly what happened night before that.
Well, she sure had me fooled. That's all I can say.
You're not the first one. 15 others ahead of you. Would you tell us what happened?
Well, I left the shop a little after midnight, and I started to drive home out Central Avenue.
You work at Maloney's Steakhouse down on South Commercial, isn't that right?
Yes, and my uncle owns the place. His name's J. Brown Maloney. He knows a lot of cops. You know him?
We met him this afternoon. Could you tell us what happened after you left work?
Well, I started to drive home out Central Avenue. I guess it must have been around 18th Street. Would you push it, Bill, up a little bit?
Yes, sir. I'll get it here. How's that?
Thanks. I pulled up for the arterial, and I saw this gal standing on the corner. She was hitchhiking.
Do you remember what she looked like, how she was dressed?
Well, you know, kind of flashy, but nice clothes. Good-looking dame. Tall, long blonde hair. Beautiful eyes.
You're sure about the color of her hair?
Yeah, it was blonde.
And you offered her a ride?
I didn't think there was anything wrong in it. I'm a married man, you know. I didn't think there was anything wrong.
What happened then?
Well, she got in a car and we drove off. We talked a while and then she pulled a gun on me. Told me to drive up an alley.
Where was that? Do you remember?
Around 32nd Street, 32nd and Central.
And then what?
She took my wallet, watch, car keys, everything I had.
Mm-hmm.
And she made me get out of the car, lay down on the street. I felt her shove that gun again. Can you fix that pillow?
Yeah, you bet. Just lie still here. There you are.
I felt her shove that gun against me, and then she pulled the trigger, I guess. That's all I remember.
You don't recall her slugging you?
It must have happened after she shot me. Her face looks pretty bad, huh?
You'll be all right, Mr. Maloney. You think you would recognize the girl if you saw her again?
I sure would. Nice looking, you know. Tall, blonde, beautiful shape. Doesn't figure, does it?
What's that?
She'd make more money on the stage than she would rolling guys like me. Must be crazy.
Maybe. Did you look at these mug shots, Mr. Maloney, and see if any of these look like her?
Let's see.
Here. This one?
No.
What about this one here?
No. Let's see. No.
How about this one?
No, she was better looking.
Well, here's the last one.
I don't know. This might be her. The hair was fixed right. Maybe a little more makeup. I'm not sure.
All right, Mr. Maloney. Thank you.
We'll be back to see you in a day or so when you're feeling better.
Okay. Say, my name won't be in the papers, will it?
No, sir, not unless you give it to him.
I was just wondering, a wife might not understand giving a girl a ride, you know?
Yes, sir, we know.
Well, thank you, Mr. Maloney. We'll be checking back with you later on.
Okay, officers. I hope you get a line on that dame.
We're going to try. Goodbye.
Sure messed up, isn't it?
Yeah. That dame's got some other motive besides money.
Psycho. Some kind of a sadist, maybe.
Yeah.
Find out what you wanted, Sergeant.
Yes, we did. Thanks, nurse. What'd the doctor say about Maloney? Is he going to be all right?
Well, he had a severe beating, but he'll get over that all right. It's the bullet wound in the back.
He'll recover, won't he?
The bullet shattered part of the spinal cord. There was nothing the doctor could do.
Yeah?
Paraplegia. He'll never walk again.
We left the county hospital, went back to the office, and got out a local broadcast for the woman whose mugshot Maloney had partially identified. Her name was Beverly Allen. She had a record of 3 arrests and 1 conviction of 240 PC, assault and battery. After we checked in the office, we went across the street to the crime lab. Lee Jones had already examined the bullet taken from Maloney's spine and the cartridge casing found at the scene of the shooting. Both of them bore the same markings as those which had wounded the 2 previous victims. From the striations, the gun had been previously identified as a .45 Colt. Maloney's car was examined. We found nothing. We went back to the city hall and checked in at the stats office. It was 8:35 p.m.
Hi, Ethel. Make that run for us yet?
Just a minute, Sergeant.
How you coming, Ethel?
Fine, here.
Same old run. Went back 7 years on this one.
Yeah, that's right. Did you get any more names?
Thank you. Let me check the list for you.
All right.
Why, the names and DR numbers on Caucasian women. 5 feet to 5 feet 8, 115 to 130 pounds, 20 to 30 years, blonde or brunette, assault and battery, M.O. Hitchhikes, rides, and robs drivers, uses gun.
Yeah, that's it.
Here's what the machine turned out, 19 of them.
Good.
Here are the names. The DR numbers opposite each one.
Fine. Any new name?
A few more than the last time. Anything else for tonight?
No, that's it for now. Thanks a lot, Ethel. Let's go. Bad start.
How's that?
17 of these names we checked and cleared already.
And the other 2?
Well, one's Catherine Collins. The other one's Beverly Allen. She might tie in.
We got nothing else to go on.
You want to get to the record bureau and pull the packages on these 2 names?
Yeah, okay.
I'll check robbery and see if we have any calls. Huh?
All right, Joe.
Okay. Hi, Captain. Any calls for us?
Just one. Thad Brown wants to see you.
Oh, bad mood?
Kind of. Wants me, too. Let's go. Did Fella Maloney tell you anything?
Nothing that helped much. Same old story. No reports on that broadcast we put out for that Beverly Allen?
Not yet? No. You banking on it?
It's first lead in 16 nights.
Here we are.
Walker, Friday, come in.
How are you, boss?
Sit down.
Thank
Take
you.
a look.
Woman bandit gets 16th victim. Beautiful hold-up queen robs, shoots restaurant worker. Yeah?
It's on the editorial page, too. Something else. Memo from the chief. Here, letter from the Downtown Citizens Committee. Another one, Civic Club. They all want answers.
Men are doing all they can, Chief. We got 2 other teams besides Friday and Romero working the case. Special squad from Metropolitan Division. They're on it, too.
I don't care what we've done. We've got to do more. 16 nights, 16 robberies, and 3 shootings. 3 victims still in the hospital. When do we blow the whistle on her?
We've checked out every possible lead, Chief. We've got a warrant out on one suspect. We're checking out another one. Talked to that man Maloney, the one she got last night.
Well, what did he tell you?
Not much more than the other 15 that she took. Descriptions still don't match in one respect.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, in 10 of the 16 cases we've had reported, the victims tagged the girl hitchhiker as a blonde, long hair. 4 of them say she was a brunette with a short hairdo. 2 of them tell us that the girl had red hair, long.
She's using wigs, that's what we figured. Checked every place in town where she could have rented or bought them. No leads.
What about some of the bigger supply houses out of town?
We've started in checking them. It'll take a little time.
And you've got practically nothing on the woman.
Same gun, .45 Colt. Lee Jones examined the bullet they took out of Maloney's spine.
How's he doing?
Not good. The bullet smashed his spinal cord. His legs are paralyzed.
When do we stop her? Yeah? Romero?
Hi, Chief. Captain.
What have you got?
Pulled the packages on 2 possibles in this woman holdup thing. It's no good, Joe.
Why not? What about that Allen dame?
Jail in Kansas City? I called her. Been in for a month.
And the other one?
Catherine Collins. I checked Seattle. Been in the hospital up there for the past 3 months in TB ward.
Where does that leave you, Friday?
Right back where we started. No leads and no suspects.
All right, Walker. Starting tonight, we cover every street and alley in the central area until we get that woman. We'll order up more men and more detectives from the Metropolitan Division.
Right, Chief.
Get out more decoy cars. Have the area covered from sundown till sunrise until further notice. Get that woman.
Right. Come on, Joe.
Yeah.
Hot shot.
I'll get it.
A 211 shooting at Gatewood and Cameron. A 211 shooting at Gatewood and Cameron.
Let's go. The name on his driver's license said William Gillespie. We found him 50 feet from the corner of Gatewood Alley and Cameron Street. His face and head bore the marks of a vicious beating. There was a single bullet wound in his left shoulder. He was conscious when we arrived. Chief Detectives Brown, Captain Walker, and Ben checked the area for physical evidence. I spoke briefly with the victim before he was placed on a stretcher and carried to the ambulance. On the way, he lapsed into unconsciousness. I went over to where Ben was standing with Chief Brown and Captain Walker.
Take a look, Joe. Captain found over there near the lamppost.
Yeah.
45 shell casing, same as the others.
How's Gillespie, Friday?
Doc says he'll be all right. Badly beaten.
Tough dame. She really works him over.
Wonder what makes a woman do things like this.
What makes a man do it? William Gillespie was taken to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. The shell casing, which we had found at the scene, was taken to Lee Jones at the crime lab for examination. It compared with the others. Jones confirmed that the markings on the bullet which had wounded Gillespie matched those on the bullet which had been taken from Maloney's back. Both bullets had been fired from the same gun. The Dragnet operation for the woman bandit went on. The men in the special detail covered every street and alley in the central area from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. the following morning. During the next 5 days, 11 suspects were picked up and brought in for questioning and then released after the victims failed to identify any of them.
Well, at least we got her stopped temporarily. She hasn't pulled a caper for almost a week.
Yeah, that doesn't bring us any closer to her. I don't know about you, but it's got me beat. 17 jobs, and she's as free today as she was before she started.
Joe, Ben, what'd you find?
Nothing. The last 4 women we questioned were clear.
What about the other men on the case, Ed? Did they get anything?
Baxter and Olson are down at the Record Bureau. Be in a minute. They've been out talking to some of the victims again. Tough one.
I've been thinking, how about a composite picture? We got enough to work with?
Artist in the crime lab's working up a couple of sketches now. A lot of guesswork.
What about the descriptions of the clothes the girl wears? Anything there we could start on?
No, other than the fact that she wears flashy clothes.
Hi, Olson.
Any luck?
Not much. None of the victims have a very good idea what the dame looked like. Tall, good-looking, nice figure, that's all.
Nothing out of the ordinary, huh?
Well, some of them said she had kind of an unusual voice. Soft, low. That's about all they could remember.
There's not much help.
She's been described in 3 different outfits, is that right?
Yeah, green dress with a pink coat, white dress, dark blue jacket, bright red sweater, and a brown skirt. Always carries a dark brown alligator handbag. Shoes to match. No hat.
Not much of a wardrobe, is it?
Maybe that's why she took up robbery.
Now, look, let's get on this thing. We've been chasing this woman for almost a month now, and she's still got the run of the town. How long's it going to take us?
If we only had a lead that was worth something.
Find it. It's there someplace. I've never reached a thief yet without digging for him.
I'll get it. Robert Olson. Yeah, right, Andy. I'll tell him. Anderson and burglar. Joe wants to see you and Ben.
Thanks. Captain?
That's all.
Come on, Ben.
Yeah. I'd like a day off, wouldn't you? We'll get one when we get this dame.
Right, Ed.
This thing isn't doing much for the skipper.
It's not doing much for our time off either, is it?
That fire department's got the racket 24 hours on, 24 off.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they get 3 days off in a row.
That's what you keep telling me. Here we are.
Joe, Ben?
Andy, what do you got?
Checking back on a job out in Hollywood. Heard you were having troubles. Came across this thing. Thought it might help you out.
What's that, Ann?
One of the picture studios had a burglary about a month ago. Thief got in the wardrobe department, then next door in the makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. Here's some of the stuff taken. Dress, coat. Oh, here, you can read it.
Okay, thanks. Mm-hmm. Red sweater, brown skirt.
Hey, look down here, Joe.
Where?
Right here.
Oh, yeah. Took 2 makeup kits and 4 wigs.
2 blondes, 1 redhead, 1 brunette. That's it.
Any leads on this job?
Oh, not so far, no. We got one thing to go on, a single footprint, size 9.
Pretty large size for a woman.
I didn't say it was a woman. Print was made by a man's shoe.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima. It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Those words are echoing across the country. Yes, Fatima has more than doubled its sales because Fatima smokers are telling their friends it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And why?
Because Fatima contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild.
So, for a much different, much better flavor and aroma, smoke Fatima.
One of the most popular misconceptions of the working detective as offered by the fiction writers is the picture of a man with amazing talents for detecting evidence, analyzing human behavior and motives, and then, almost as if by magic, fitting all the pieces together to form the solution of the crime. The real-life picture is a little different. The working detective has a job. In a sense, it's a practical and down-to-earth job as baking bread or practicing law. It's his job to protect citizens and apprehend criminals, and it's a job he doesn't do alone. To assist him in collecting and analyzing evidence, he has the aid of the crime laboratory. To help him identify oddities in suspects or possible suspects, he has the Record Bureau, latent fingerprints, the statistician's office, the ballistics department. A battery of men and machines to aid him in reaching conclusions based on fact. Tuesday, October 9th, 9 p.m. For the past 8 hours, Thaxter and Olson from robbery and Ben and I had been requesting all of the 16 victims of the woman bandit. We asked them one question. Could their assailant possibly have been a man dressed as a woman? The majority didn't think so. Those that did weren't very sure. We followed the lead through. At 9:25 p.m., we checked in and headed down the hall for the stats office.
Do you think it was a man dressed as a woman?
I don't know.
1 male footprint. Pretty slim odds.
Maybe the machines here can tell us.
Oh, Sergeant.
Back again, Ethel. Can you make a run for us tonight?
9:25. Sure, I think so.
Now, here's the dope right here.
I'm going to try another angle, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see. Male Caucasians. About 5 feet 8 or 9, 130 to 135 pounds, feminine features, size 9 shoe, impersonating women, robbery and assault.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Arm, 45 automatic. M.O. Hitchhikes, rides, and robs drivers.
How soon do you think you can have for us?
Well, I'll make the run on the collator. Have to punch up the master first with all this information and let the machine work the cards. I don't think I'll have it for you much before 11. That all right?
Fine, yes.
We'll check back a little before 11 then, huh?
They'll be ready.
Good. Come on, Ben. Did you call your wife after dinner?
Yeah. Wish I hadn't. She's mad as a hornet.
What's the matter?
Kid's having a birthday party tomorrow, and I forgot to order the cake.
What's she going to do for the party? Bake one?
She have to.
And she pulled this gun on me and told me to stop the car. Well, I'm telling you, Captain, I just grabbed that gun and slapped that kid just as hard as I could.
Hold it just a minute, will you, please, Collins? This man's name is Emil Collins. Mr. Collins is Sergeant Friday, Sergeant Romero.
Oh, yeah. How do you do?
Oh, yeah.
I was just telling the captain here, I'm down here on a vacation. I'm from Sacramento, South Sacramento. And I was driving down your Figueroa Street about half an hour ago. picked up this girl hitching a ride, and she tried to rob me.
Collins took the gun away from her, subdued the girl, and brought her in.
Where is she now?
Interrogation room. Thaxter and Olson are with her.
The description match?
Not too close.
Sounds like you didn't have too much trouble with her, Mr. Collins.
Well, now that I come to think of it, maybe I didn't. When she pointed that gun, I just grabbed for it and slapped her as hard as I could. Sure took the starch out of her.
Who is the girl? Any identification?
None. Thaxter and Olson haven't been able to get anything out of her. You want to try?
Sure.
What do you think, Skipper?
You tell me. See if you can make her talk. I'll have a stenographer take Mr. Collins' report.
Okay. Glad to meet you, Mr. Collins.
That's a pleasure. I'm only down here for a vacation, but if you need me, just call.
You bet we will, thanks.
How do you figure that?
I don't know. Let's see what the girl has to say. Olson?
Joe, I want to talk to you before you go in.
Sure.
Did you finally get her to talk?
Well, Thaxter did. Pretty sure she's not the one we're after.
What's her story?
Said she read about this woman bandit in the paper, decided to try her hand at it, needed money.
Yeah?
Claims her husband left her. She's pregnant, needs the dough for a hospital.
She live here?
Up the coast, Monterey. Got in town 4 days ago, staying at the YWCA. We checked there. She's not lying.
You call Monterey?
Yeah, they confirmed it. She left there last Wednesday night. She's not the one.
Where do we go from here?
You'll take care of having her booked, huh, Olson?
Yeah, as soon as we get a station.
Okay, fine.
Friday, Ben, this way. Hustle it. You too, Olson.
What do you got, Ed?
4th and Lucas, 211 shooting. Let's go.
Any detail?
Yeah. A tall blonde with a gun. Come on.
The woman bandit's 18th victim was a truck driver. His name, Harry Reese. His story differed a little from that of the first victim. The woman was hitchhiking near Alvarado and 3rd Street. He gave her a ride. She robbed him at gunpoint, slugged him, and then shot him through the left shoulder. He described her as tall, blonde, attractive, and well-dressed.
Guess I should have known better. Remember reading about the dame in the papers. You're sure that the person who held you up was a woman? I don't get you.
What he means is you don't think it could have been a man dressed like a woman.
Oh, no, I'm sure of that. No guy ever looked that good to me.
All right, Mr. Reese. We'll check with you later at the hospital.
Okay.
Let them get through, will you? Just move aside one side, please.
We keeping that truck cleared?
Yeah, Olson's got a couple of men watching it. He's going over it.
Same old story. Just another version.
Don't you think she's spreading it pretty thin? Her luck can't last forever.
It's got me beat, how she always manages to disappear without a trace.
Yeah. No, Ben, this way, over here.
Yeah, okay.
What do you got?
Better hustle it.
4 blocks down on Coal Factory shooting. Just came in on the car radio.
Let's go. Slide over, Joe.
Yeah. You hit the sign, Ben.
Yeah.
The crowd, watch him.
Right, Skipper.
Is that all that came over, Ben, the shooting?
All they said, see the cab driver, ambulance shooting.
She's working real fast.
What's the address for now?
3rd and East Flower Hotel. Hold on. This is it coming up.
Should be to the right here. Yeah, take a right. That must be it up ahead. I can't see. What's that sign say?
Edgemar Hotel for young women.
Here's a cab driver.
Officer's right over here.
Hey, looks like blood stains to me here all over the sidewalk.
Yeah, I guess it couldn't have happened any more than 5 or 10 minutes ago. I had this fare. See, picked her up at 4th and Bixel, and I drove her here. She paid the fare and got out.
Yeah, go on.
I was about halfway down the block when I heard a shot. At least it sounded like one. When I looked back, this dame was down on one knee near the door to the hotel here, and by the time I backed up there, she was gone.
And you noticed the blood, huh?
That's right, yeah. I figured I better call somebody.
Can you tell us what the girl looked like?
No, not bad at all. Blonde, tall, pretty girl, nervous.
But you didn't see where she went?
No, but I didn't.
I'll get the driver's name and address. Joe, you and Ben, see if you can follow that trail. Stuff's all over the place.
Right. Over this way, Ben.
Yeah. It's not hard to follow.
Down this alley between the buildings.
How does this figure?
Now, let's find out. Here we go. All the way back here. You got your flashlight?
Oh, yeah. Here it is.
Okay. Yeah, this way. Come on.
This must be the rear of the hotel.
Now, look. The stains lead over this way to the back door here.
Let me try.
All right. Okay, inside.
Still follow it?
Yeah. Careful. Up these stairs.
Yeah. Second floor. What's the matter? Did you lose him?
No. Just a minute.
See anything?
Yeah. Stains lead on up the stairs here. Let's go.
I just happened to think. This is a woman's hotel.
And they ought to keep the back door closed. Come on. 3rd floor. Let's hold it.
What is it?
Thought I saw a door open down the hall.
See anybody?
No. Let's go. This way.
It's an easy trail to follow.
This is it. They stop here at this door. That doesn't sound like a woman.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah, try the door first. Easy.
It's locked.
All right, come on, together now. Let's hit it.
Yeah. Watch it, Joe!
All right, you.
I got the gun.
Yeah. Oh, we found what we came for. Look.
Still got the clothes on. Blonde wig, makeup, everything.
Please, help me. My leg. Call an ambulance.
It's on the way. Take it easy.
Have a look, Joe. The wigs, full makeup kit, clothes, living in a woman's hotel. The works.
It was an accident. You never would have got me. I dropped the gun. It went off. You never would have got me.
Yeah, that's right, mister.
It was an accident.
You better get the boss in here. I'll stay with Glamour Boy.
Yeah, okay.
And Ben.
Yeah?
Leave the door open, will you? House rules.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 14th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 79, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
They find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes.
The welfare and security of your home and your family is a subject of national importance next week, National Crime Prevention Week. The efficiency of your local police department is dependent upon your attitude toward your police officer. Not just 1 week out of the year, but every day in the year. He wants your cooperation. He needs your cooperation for the enforcement of your laws. Help your officer to help you to live in a peaceful, orderly community. National Crime Prevention Week costs you nothing, just your cooperation.
James Harold Sutter, alias the Bandit Queen, was tried and convicted on several counts of assault with attempt to commit murder and robbery of the first degree. He was sentenced to the term prescribed by law. While serving his time in the state penitentiary, he was stabbed to death by another inmate. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Hear Morton Downey tonight on NBC.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, International Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye. Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery, suspense, and adventure in tonight's story of The Two Little Sisters. When a 6-foot, 200-pound guy turns up with a knife in his back, maybe a short 100 pounds of cool green-eyed blonde did it. And maybe she didn't. Well, this time there were two blondes, sisters. They looked alike, but they were about as much alike as a sheepdog and a cobra. Goes to show you can't tell by the package. Their names were Zemansky, Mary and Dolly Zemansky.
They worked for the Everybody's Happy Pastime Carnival shows. It was old E. Happy Pastime himself who was sitting in the lion's office when I got there about noon.
Jeffrey, my boy, glad you've come in. I'd like you to meet our new client, proprietor of the Everybody's Happy Pastime Carnival shows. No doubt you've heard of them, Jeffrey?
Sure. How are you?
Laryngitis? Yeah, our friend here is troubled with laryngitis, Jeffrey. Purely psychological. A result of worry, profound worry. Isn't that right, sir? Yes. Yes. Well, Jeffrey...
What do we do?
Now, Jeffrey, I'm glad you asked that question. To tell the truth, I envy you. Fine opportunity for you to get out of the city while I sit here sweltering in this heat. You, Jeffrey...
Get to the point.
Well, yes. Well, Jeffrey, the fact is our friend here leaves on the 2 o'clock plane for Phoenix, Arizona. Advance arrangements for the carnival.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Well, meantime, the star performer of Everybody's Happy Pastime Carnival shows, a girl named... Oh, now where's that piece of paper? I jotted it down. Oh, here we are. Dolly Zamansky, the Queen of the Blades.
Ice skater?
Knife thrower.
Oh, I get it.
She's a knife thrower with the show, Jeffrey. Best in a line, they say.
Well, what's the trouble?
That's just it. Someone's been threatening her, a man named Rand. It's upsetting her, Jeffrey. Beginning to show in her work. That's what worries our client here.
What's Rand got on her?
Well, I don't know, Jeffrey. Our client doesn't know. Isn't that right, sir? Yes. No, but we'll retain to find out.
And get rid of him.
Exactly. Get rid of him. Get rid of him, Jeffrey.
Like the lion said, it was a chance to get out of the city. I drove Father Time back out to his carnival. He had to pick up his stuff and then make the 2 o'clock plane at International Airport. The carnival was set up on a couple of vacant lots out on Sepulveda. Big sign, Everybody's Happy Pastime Carnival shows. Tents, trailers, Ferris wheels, sawdust, the usual stuff. The old guy pointed out Dolly Zamansky's trailer, and I was on my own. I didn't get far. Guy in a 1922 tux, 3 days whiskers, and a turban like a second-hand bird's nest stopped me.
Oh, there. How do you do, sir?
The only legitimate thing about the Swami was his breath. That was 90 proof.
You are Regan.
What's that to you?
I am Swami Al-Kaji. Step this way, please, into my tent. I will consult the crystal. The crystal ball tells me many things.
Yeah? Like what?
Sit right here, Mr. Regan.
Thanks.
The crystal ball tells me, Mr. Regan, that you've been hired to help Dolly Zamansky. Tells me you have been hired by... by the owner of our little carnival.
How much of that did he tell you?
Yes, Mr. Regan, it was he who told me. I saw you arrive together.
What do you know about Rand?
Fred Rand, let me see. Yes, let me see. The crystal ball is cloudy. The sand of time runs through the glass, Mr. Regan.
Cut it out.
What do you mean?
You're a Swami like Truman's a Republican.
Yes, true. Well, have a drink, Mr. Regan. I see much more in this than in the crystal ball. Yes. Say when.
When?
Here you are.
Thanks.
I'm a four-finger man myself, Mr. Regan. Been my ruin.
You said you had information.
Yes, there are 2 sisters.
Zamansky?
Yes, Dolly and Mary.
Who's married?
The younger sister.
She new to the show?
A few months with us.
Her sister get her the job?
Yes, Dolly Zamansky's our star performer. Naturally, she has influence.
Okay. What about Rand?
I will consult the crystal ball.
Look, I don't get paid by the hour. What's Rand got on Dolly Zamansky?
I don't know.
No?
I see letters forming in the crystal.
Okay. Play it your way.
F, Z. I can't see any more now. Perhaps if you'd care
see you
to...
later.
Mr. Regan, Mr. Regan!
Maybe the Swami had something to sell. But if I couldn't get it for free, I could go back and buy it later. It was only a little ways to Dolly Zamansky's trailer. Big, expensive job. Everything was wide open because of the heat, so I walked in. Nobody home. Ladies' clothes lying around, theatrical makeup, grease paint stick, picture of some round-faced guy with a crew cut signed, yours adoringly, no name, knives and daggers around, and a frosty blonde with green eyes in the doorway watching me.
What's
are you doing in here?
Homework?
That's clever.
Who are you?
That's what I ought to ask you.
Oh, guess. You're Dolly Zemansky.
No, I'm her sister.
Mary Zemansky.
Yes.
I'm Jeff Regan, International Detective Bureau.
You're a detective?
That's it. You joined the carnival about 4 months ago.
5 months.
5 months. Been in show business before?
No, I was a boy back home, but I...
That him?
What?
Photo on the dressing table.
No. Sister Pine.
Pine?
He's in love with my sister.
Pine. Pine, don't I?
Harold Pine. J.J. Pine's son.
Yeah?
You know, Pine warehouses. They're all over Los Angeles.
So your sister's going to marry them?
Why, think so.
But maybe she isn't.
Mr. Regan,
Supposing you give me what you know, About 4 days ago, a guy turned up, Rand.
Yes.
Your sister scare easy?
Oh, no, Mr. Regan, that's just it. She's strong-minded. She left home when she was 15.
Go on.
Well, life can't have been easy for her, show business.
Just tell it.
Well, she's independent, Mr. Regan. I've tried to tell her...
What about Rand?
Mr. Regan, I can't tell you.
Lady, I've got a job to do. What about Rand?
I don't know.
Your sister scared of him?
I...
She is or she isn't?
It's something else. She told me she didn't know him. She said he was trying to get fresh, but twice I shouldn't tell you this.
My fee says I help your sister.
All right. There's a little street 2 blocks up Sepulveda. Twice I walked by there this morning and 2 days ago. There was a green sedan parked there both times, and Fred Rand and my sister were in it. They seemed to be arguing. Mr. Regan, that's all I know.
Okay. How do I find your sister?
She performs in the main tent, but she must be just about through. She might be over there.
Okay. See you. I started for the main tent and got about halfway up the midway when he passed me, going down the midway, and into the big shiny trailer. Broad-shouldered, 6-foot guy with red hair. And when he went into the Zemansky sister's trailer, I knew he was Rand. I started for the trailer. I thought I heard voices quarreling. And then I knew something was wrong. That was Mary Zemansky screaming. I hadn't had my eye off the door of that trailer 60 seconds since I left. Nobody went in but Rand. Nobody came out. But I busted fast. I made the last 100 yards like Mel Patton on Dexedrine. But what I saw when I got inside that trailer stopped me cold. It was Mary Zemansky and Rand. But it wasn't like I figured. Mary was hanging onto the wall and staring down at the floor, sobbing. And on the floor was Rand, with a knife in his back. All right, give it to me. Give it to me fast.
No.
What happened? Come on.
No, I can't tell you. I can't.
Look, you've got 10 seconds before the whole carnival will be in here. What happened? Tell me what happened.
I won't talk.
All right, both of you stand back at the end of the trailer.
Who are you?
Sergeant Post, police. Hands above your heads. All right. Clear away now. Clear back, folks. You, Dolly Zemansky?
No, I'm your sister, Mary Zemansky.
Your turn, mister.
Maybe we can take our hands down?
You armed?
Yeah.
Where till I get it? Hip?
Shoulder.
Okay. Set him down.
Thanks.
Got a permit to carry this?
Sure.
Show it.
Regan, private detective, International Detective Bureau. Here's the file copy.
Look good, Regan. You kill this guy? Okay, Regan. Well, maybe you'll tell me who the guy was.
His name was Fred Rand.
That check, Regan?
What I heard.
Maybe you knew Rand, Regan.
Nope.
How'd you get in here so quick?
Heard screams.
Sure.
Oh, what's the use of all this? You both know what happened.
No, what did?
Mr. Rand came in and he'd been bothering Dolly. Maybe he thought I was Dolly. We look a little bit alike. And he came in
And? Go on.
He struggled. And I killed him.
It hung together like the Jap Navy. She was sore at Rand because he'd been bothering her sister, so when the big 6-foot guy came into the trailer, she grabbed him and stabbed him in the back. Sure, it could have happened like that. But from the look that came on Sergeant Post's face, I could see he'd try to make it stick. He looked like a hungry kid at a bakery window. He was seeing lieutenant stripes. Half an hour later, Mary went off for the ride downtown in the paddy wagon. I figured it was a funny thing Dolly Zemansky hadn't showed up. I decided to look for her. She wasn't around. She'd finished her act a little bit before the ruckus started, and it looked like nobody had seen her since. Then I saw a tent with some stars and crescent moons painted on the front, and that reminded me of something. A phony Swami with information for sale. He was inside. All right, Swami, get busy on that crystal ball and dish up some answers.
Yes.
Like FZ.
Ah, yes, the letters FC. The crystal is clearly...
Oh, clear it. It's a murder rap now. FZ what? Rand.
Yes, Mr. Regan.
Fred Rand.
Mrs. Fred Zemansky Rand.
Dolly Zemansky was his wife. Now you've said something. That gave me something to work on, but halfway to my car, I remembered something else. Something Mary Zemansky had said. A green sedan parked twice in the same place. Maybe it was parked there a third time. It figured the owner wouldn't be driving it away. He was taking a free ride as a guest of the county to the morgue. It was there, green sedan, on the little street 2 blocks up Sepulveda. The door was unlocked. The registration on the steering post read Fred Rand. That figured. The address was on a street called Delancey in San Francisco. But maybe I wouldn't have to go that far. There was a card down on the floorboards. One of those commercial hotel cards. Globe Hotel, Main Street. I stuck it in my pocket. That was when a guy said,
I'm gonna kill you, Fred Rand.
I hit the car door with my shoulder. That knocked him back, but he came in again and tried for me. I blocked it.
Why, you...
That was when I got a good look at him. He was the guy in the picture in the Zemansky sisters' trailer. Yours adoringly, Harold Pine. I'd like to have stuck around and had a little talk with Harold Pine. Maybe knew some answers. The one answer he didn't know was who killed Fred Rand. When he made that college try on me and called me Rand, it didn't take the FBI to figure he didn't even know Rand was dead. But it looked like Pine was going to be asleep a while, so I went downtown. The Globe Hotel. Last stop on the line for the canned heat crowd. Brass spittoons. Row of cracked leather chairs along the front. 2 or 3 old guys dying in them. Nobody at the desk, so I picked up number 306 from the register and went up. The door wasn't locked. Inside, you could see why. Nothing in the joint but a brass bed. Cardboard suitcase on a chair with a couple of neckties in it. Fred Rand had been traveling white. But there was something else in the suitcase stuck in the lining. Item torn out of the Weekly Variety, the show business sheet. It said a couple of knife throwers named Duncan and Dolly had checked out of Las Vegas for work at a spot called the Blue Dolphin Casino, Los Angeles. The date line was half torn off, but you could make out the 46 at the end. There was a phone on the wall, and I tried the Blue Dolphin Casino. There was nobody home. Too early for a night spot. So I decided to let the Lion work on that one.
International Detective Bureau, Anthony J. Lyon, President speaking.
Lion, I've got something for you.
Jeffrey, I'm glad you called. I just talked to the proprietor of the Everybody's Happy Pastime Carnival shows from Phoenix.
So we're off the job.
Well, now, Jeffrey, what can we expect? We were retained to get rid of that fellow Rand, to relieve Miss Dolly Zemansky of any undue nervous stress that might endanger the box office value of her performance.
Go on.
Now, Jeffrey, it just seems that, the sister did the job for us.
Sure she did.
Jeffrey, I don't think I understand you.
You can understand this. This job we stick on.
Jeffrey, be reasonable. The matter's in the hands of the police.
They got the wrong goose.
What's that?
I don't think she stabbed a 6-foot guy in the back. I think somebody pitched the strike out in through the window.
Dolly Zemansky?
Maybe. I think that's what her sister thinks. I think that's why she confessed.
Oh, I see what you're driving at now. We're defending the innocent again. We're not in business for money, are we, Regan? Why should we be with the world full of poor unfortunates waiting to be helped?
Cut it out.
Regan, from now on, if you want to work for charity, you work alone. You're fired.
That's the only good news I've had all day. I checked out of Rand's hotel the same way I went in. When I was crossing the street, I saw somebody coming up the other sidewalk. My high school geometry told me that if I walked fast enough, I could get opposite where my car was parked the same time she did. Okay, come on.
Go of me.
Sister. Get in the car.
Can't do this to me.
You're Dolly Zemansky, and I'm doing it. Get in there. And stay still. I don't like you, Dolly.
How do you know my name?
You look like your sister.
Mary?
Mary.
Who are you?
Never mind.
Well, where are you taking me?
All right, up Hill Street. There's a place to park above Central. There's a nice view of the city jail.
Jail?
That's right, jail. All right, there. Like I said, there's a good view.
What's the pitch, Regan?
How'd you get that?
The Regan? It's on the steering post.
You got good eyes.
Thanks, honey.
I didn't say that way.
So you don't love me. What's the pitch?
See that building down there? It's the city jail. Do you know who's in it?
No.
It's your sister.
Mary?
Mary.
Why?
She says she killed a guy named Fred Rand.
Fred Rand?
Never heard of Fred Rand, then. Then why were you going to the Globe Hotel? You never heard of that either. Talk, will you? Okay, I will. You get the Pine warehouses on the hook. It looks good, but there's just one thing wrong. Fred Rand. You're married to him. The guy turns up. Maybe he heard about Harold Pine. He blackmails you.
Okay, he blackmails me, so what?
So you want to get rid of him. You come back from your act this afternoon with the knives in your hands. You get near the trailer. The window's open. You see Rand inside arguing with his sister. That must have been an easy pitch for the star of the show. Your sister's locked up down there on a murder rap to cover you, and you got nothing to say. Okay. I got nothing on you. Not now. But you'll talk. Later. Now get out. I got business. That gave me nothing, so I went down to the jail to try to see Mary Zemansky again. It took me an hour to find out I wasn't going to get to her. But I did find out one thing. That cop had done his job well. Mary had signed a written confession to the murder of Rand. I got in my car and bucked traffic out to Ventura Boulevard. I hit a gas station and checked the address of the Blue Dolphin. It was in Encino. That meant it was near the carnival and I could pick it up later. Everybody's happy pastime was doing peak business by the time I got there. The Midway was lit up like a sailor on shore leave. But where I went, it was dark. Out and back of the Zemansky sisters' trailer. Maybe I could pick up some proof that Dolly Zemansky pitched that night that killed Rand. I tripped over a tent rope and bumped into something. Wait a minute. Who are you?
What? I'm Porky.
Come on out in the light.
Yes, sir.
You're Pine.
Yes, sir, I'm Pine. Harold Pine. But they call me Porky. Porcupine. I reckon you could say it's a sort of a joke. Porcupine? It started when I was in college.
Yeah. My name's Regan, private detective.
Oh, I owe you an apology, Mr. Regan. At the car.
Skip it.
I thought you were Fred Rand.
Why were you gunning for him?
Fred Rand? Calls her Dolly.
Dolly Zemansky. You're going to marry her, aren't you?
Well,
What's on your mind?
Well, now that there's been a murder...
Go on.
I think I better tell the truth.
That's a good idea.
You asked me if I was going to marry Dolly.
What?
I am married to her. San Bernardino. Last Thursday. My father, J.J. Pine, reckons, Mr. Regan, because of the family money...
Sure. You couldn't have married Dolly Zemansky. She was married to Fred Rand.
Not for 3 years.
Huh?
They was divorced, Mr. Regan.
You know that?
Well, Dolly had the decree. How else could we have got a marriage license?
Did you see the divorce decree?
Oh, yes, sir.
When was it granted?
1946.
Month, you remember?
Yes, October.
Day?
Well, Mr. Regan, I don't see
what day?
October 14th, 1946.
October 14th, 1946. Okay.
Well, Mr. Regan, I don't understand.
Rand showed up again, huh?
Yes, sir.
So you decided to kill him?
He was molesting Dolly.
Sure.
Well, maybe I'd just beat him up.
You're a kid, Pine.
Maybe I am.
You're keeping bad company.
I don't think so.
Well, who do you think knifed Fred Rand?
I don't rightly know.
What were you looking for in back of that trailer?
Nothing. I didn't think of anything.
You know Dolly's sister, Mary?
I do?
You think she killed Fred Rand?
No.
Then who did?
I don't know.
Okay, Pine. You didn't, anyway.
Well, maybe I was just pretending I didn't know he was dead when I fought with you at his car.
No, Porky. You're not that smart.
Mr. Regan, I reckon that's so.
Next stop was the Blue Dolphin Casino. The manager wasn't there, so I waited around. Must have been almost midnight before he showed.
My bartender tells me you're looking for me.
You're the manager, I am.
You bought it. In here.
You book acts?
Used to.
You ever hear of Duncan and Dolly? Night throwers?
Did they ever play us?
1946. Maybe, October?
I could look it up.
Okay.
Over here. Files, over here.
Yeah. Plenty of cheesecake on the wall.
Oh, those pictures? Acts that have played us.
Yeah?
Yeah. Autograph photos. The Mandy boy, Mandy is me, we're just scared to love. Dimples Davis. Dimples. You see what I mean?
Yeah. See what you mean.
October 1946?
Could be.
No. Hey, wait a second. Last week of September. 26th through the 29th. Last week of September, 1946, Duncan and Dolly...
Let me see that. Dolly Zemansky and Harry Duncan, King and Queen of the Blades. Split week booking, September 26th to 29th, 1946.
I'm thinking King and Queen of the Blades. Wait a second. Behind this locker. Yeah, photos all over the place. I'm just remembering. We keep the leg on out where you can see it, but this stuff, you see... Yeah, like I'm remembering. The Mandys, sincerely, King and Queen of the Blades, Duncan and Dolly.
Let me see that picture.
Yeah. You recognize me?
Yeah, both of them. Dolly and Duncan.
Yeah? What'd it get you?
It gets me my answer. I made it fast back to the carnival. The midway was closed, but I could see a light on in one of the tents. I could hear voices.
That's no good, stupid. You're a shite. Oh, that's no good.
But when I walked in, the light went off.
Duncan. The light's back on.
That told me where they were. I started. Slow. I waited.
Duncan, don't. Put that knife down. Dunk one's enough. Ran was enough.
All right, Duncan, I'm coming. The knife went past, took some air that belonged to me, and stuck in the tent pole. He shoved the table at me, and I shoved it back. He made a try for the tent door, and that was when I got in.
There you go. Get him.
Turn the lights on, Dolly. Harry Duncan, a phony swami.
A rat.
You should talk.
He okay?
He'll come out of it.
He killed Rand. Thought I'd take the fall.
You let your sister take the fall and kept your trap shut because you were scared of what he knew.
Knew what?
Blue Dolphin Casino, end of September 1946.
How do you know that?
When you were supposed to be in Nevada divorcing Rand. You got to stay there 6 weeks, baby. You can't even leave for 1 day. Figure it out. You're perjured in the Nevada courts. Your divorce is no good. When you married Harold Pine, you weren't divorced from Rand.
Wise guy, Regan.
You don't get Pine. I'll take care of that. Your marriage to him is good. Like a $3 bill.
Thanks. Maybe I can do something for you sometime.
So the Swami killed Rand. That's what I figured wrong. If Mary didn't stick Rand, it had to be a toss job. Somebody had to toss that knife through the trailer window. Somebody professional. I figured you. Till I saw that photo of Duncan and Dolly. Why'd he do it?
Because he hated Rand.
He loved you.
How'd you figure that?
Guys fall in love with dames like you. I don't know why.
We were a duo. Duncan and Dolly. We were going to get married, but I ditched him for Rand.
That figures.
Rand looked good a while. Dunk went on the bottle when I married Rand. Pretty soon he got too shaky for a knife act.
Ended up like this. The phony Swami.
He said Rand had beat his time with me. He said he'd kill Rand if he got the chance. Didn't think he had the nerve.
He's coming out of it. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want to talk to Dunk. So long, Regan.
Get out of here! That wrapped it up for me. The police took it from there, and after a few hours at headquarters, I headed back to my apartment. But if I figured it was that easy to get rid of the lion, I was in for a new set of figures. The lion was there, waiting, hat in hand.
Jeffrey, my boy, you've come back at last. I heard all about it. I've been waiting for you, Jeffrey.
Sure. Candle in the window.
Jeffrey, will you ever forgive me? Will you forget the unkind words I've uttered, the meaningless, petty things I've said? Oh, I rue the day I mistrusted you, Jeffrey, my boy. It was madness.
Come off it, fatso.
But, Jeffrey, I mean it. You were right all along. Mary didn't kill that man. Mary was an innocent girl caught in the tangled web of suspicion. But you, Jeffrey, you defended her in her most trying moments. A noble thing, Jeffrey.
But I'm fired.
Fired? Oh, nonsense, my boy, nonsense. Haven't I apologized? It's just that I feel so sad about that poor child Mary and that Pine fellow without the bride he had taken to his heart. What will they ever do, Jeffrey?
Save your sympathy, Lion. They'll get along.
What? What do you mean by that?
Well, when I last saw them, they were sobbing it out on each other's shoulders.
You mean it, Jeffrey? They've discovered each other? How charming, how positively charming. And with all those millions he has, too. Millions of dollars.
Stop drooling, fatso. There's nothing in it for you.
No, Jeffrey, I suppose not. But I can dream, can't I?
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is written by William Frug and William Fifield, directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to bunco detail. An expert confidence man has resumed operations in your city. His criminal record dates back 35 years. He's a master in the art of the gentle swindle. Your job, stop him.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke Fatima. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. And that's why Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. So, enjoy Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 28th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch at a bunco detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the record bureau, and it was 10:45 a.m. when I got to room 38, bunco fugitive detail.
Friday?
Captain, they're bringing him in now.
Sit down.
Thanks. There's the mama sheet on him.
Oh, Gentleman Wallace. I thought he was out of our hair for good.
So did I. The list turned up. I heard he was working New York.
Look at the package on this guy. Feels like a good-sized dictionary.
Yeah. Check the date of his first arrest there.
June 2nd, 1913. He's been in and out of jail all over the country. Look, Lane County, Oregon, forgery. Bum check beef, San Francisco, 1914. Embezzlement, Santa Ana. Parole violations, Seattle, Portland. More checks, Reno. Billings, Montana, forgery, 1920. Dayton, Ohio, Pittsburgh, New York, grand larceny. Bunko Raps, Las Vegas, Cleveland, Chicago.
That's only the first page. There's a couple more there.
Yeah, reads like a novel.
Just about as long.
What's the story on Wallace this time? What have we got?
He reached a couple of used car dealers Saturday. Took him for $2,000 each, and we can't touch him.
Why not? How'd he work it?
Well, Saturday afternoon, he went to a car lot on the corner of South 3rd and Washington. He bought a 1948 Lincoln sedan.
Mm-hmm.
Showed him his identification, wrote a check for $1,500 for a down payment, and drove away.
Another bum check deal.
That's a little more than that. About 45 minutes after he left, he drove into another used car lot 2 blocks away from the place where he bought the Lincoln.
Yeah.
Told the salesman there that he didn't like the car and he wanted to trade it in on another one.
Mm-hmm.
The salesman offered him $900 less than he paid for it. Wallace accepted and offered them a personal check to cover the balance.
And the salesman went for it?
Almost. Wallace seemed so anxious to get rid of the car that the clerk got suspicious, but it was late Saturday and he couldn't call the bank on Wallace's check.
So he called the place where Wallace bought the car.
That's right. They found out that the sale was made less than an hour before and that Wallace had given them his personal check for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 2 used car dealers got on the phone, decided that Wallace was pulling a fast hustle, called a cop and had him jailed.
Mm-hmm.
Hold that light a minute, will you?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah, then what?
Well, when the banks opened Monday morning, they called about Wallace's account. He had enough money in to cover both checks. Wallace got a lawyer and threatened suit against the 2 car dealers. He had both of them cold. They settled out of court for $2,000 apiece.
Quick deal. Sounds like a master.
He's been grifting for 35 years. Knows the con game any way they want to play it. We can't even book him on a vag charge. He's got a job.
And who's he working for?
Plastic outfit out in Pasadena. Salesman.
Is he registered under 5238?
Yes.
No, just a minute. Yeah? All right, send him in. Romero, he's got Wallace with him.
Captain?
Ben?
Wallace, this is Captain Bryce.
Captain, I'm very happy to know you. I've heard a lot about you.
Yeah.
Sergeant Friday, how are you?
We'd like to talk to you, Wallace. Sit down.
Oh, well, thanks. It's warm out today.
Mm-hmm.
Perspiring. Now, what is it I can help you gentlemen with? Always glad to cooperate.
You don't have to give us a build-up, Wallace. We're not buying.
You know me better than that, Sergeant. No point in making this visit an unpleasant one. Cordiality, that's a secret. My mother always used to tell me that. She used to say...
Look, mister, you're not here to get the keys to the city hall. You're here for investigation.
I'm here out of courtesy, Captain. My lawyer informed me I didn't have to come. I don't believe in making enemies, that's all.
For a guy that's not trying, you've done pretty well, haven't you? Now, how long do you plan to stay here in town?
Los Angeles is my home. It's my place of business.
That's fine with us, Wallace, just as long as it's honest. Now, let me hand you a piece of advice. You try copping any more jobs in this town, and we're going to lean on you, understand?
I don't think I do understand, Captain. The incident with the used car dealers, I hope that isn't what upset you.
You guessed it, and it better be the last caper you try around here for a long time.
I had every right to take action against those car dealers. False arrest. They humiliated me. They damaged my reputation.
Here's your reputation, Wallace. 35 years of it. 10 jail terms, larceny, bunco, forgery.
Have you ever heard of rehabilitation, Sergeant?
Oh, yeah.
I did my time. I don't owe them a day. I've got an honest job. I've been off the grift for years now.
And take a hint, Wallace. Stay off. You'll do better.
That's all, Wallace. Just remember, the next time we tag you, you're going to fall hard. You got it straight?
Captain, I've been square since I got to town. I'm not switching. Is that it?
That's all.
Well, that wasn't so bad. Would you gentlemen care to have some lunch with me at the club? Just a snack?
No, thanks.
Sure, I can't persuade you. Club's just up the street. Fine food.
Some other time, Wallace. Goodbye.
Well, goodbye, Sergeant. Goodbye to you, Captain.
Yeah.
Well, we gave him the word.
I don't know how much good it's going to do.
What do you think, Skipper?
There are 2 things about grifters. They never retire and they never change. Watch him.
For the next 4 months, Charles Wallace was kept under surveillance. From his daily actions, there was nothing to indicate that he'd returned to his former profession of confidence man. From experience, we knew it was too good to be true. For a man who had worked the con game from every conceivable angle for as long as Wallace had, chances of his going straight amounted to less than 1 in 1,000. Just as a dope addict is a slave to drugs, the full-fledged con man or grifter is obsessed with the idea of swindling for a living. He loves his work, and he takes pride in it, just as much as a doctor, a lawyer, or any legitimate professional man. He has a life and a code of ethics all his own, even has his own language. The grifter's victims are wealthy, middle class, and poor, and many more than the average citizen imagines. Wednesday, December 1st, 1 p.m. Ben and I had lunch and checked back in at the office.
Food's getting better at the cafeteria, don't you think?
Well, beef stew is pretty good. You got an extra coat hanger in your locker?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here you are.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Conlon.
Joe? Did you see this report the post office detail sent over?
You mean that Lonely Hearts ad?
No, this is a different one. Real twist.
How do you mean, Harry? Let me look, huh?
Here. Barney Grant, that's the name he uses anyway. A couple of weeks ago, he planted a small want ad in the newspapers around town. Been cleaning up ever since.
How'd he work you?
Here, take a look at the ad he was running.
Mm-hmm. Remember, tomorrow is the last day to send your dollar to Box 565, Main Post Office, Los Angeles. Was that all?
That's all it took. The last couple of days, been getting about 40 letters a day from people in the city.
With $1 in each one.
Ad doesn't promise a thing. Just send your dollar. People send them.
They picked the guy up, Harry?
He called for the last batch of letters 2 days ago. Probably pulled out. Postal inspectors checked the address he gave when he applied for the box. They never heard of him there.
Barney Grant. Does that sound familiar to you, Ben?
A little, yeah. Maybe R&I has a package on him.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, see you a minute?
Right, Captain. Ben, you and Conlon want to check that name through R&I? I'll be in with the skipper.
Yeah, okay, Jack.
Friday, close the door, will you?
Sure.
This is Mr. Sawyer. He's with the Western Central Railroad. Sergeant Friday. Sergeant?
How are you?
It's about Wallace, Friday. Mr. Sawyer has a complaint against him. We've got the crime report.
Gentleman Wallace?
Yeah. You want to fill him in, Mr. Sawyer?
Well, Sergeant, I'm employed as a standards engineer for the Western Central Railroad. Wallace first approached me about a month ago. He said he was an inventor and he was working on plans of a new type of air brake for use on railroad cars.
Go ahead.
He said he'd conceived the idea, but that he needed more time and money to perfect his invention. He told me I'd share in half of the profits he got from his idea. It sounded more than fair.
How much money did you give him?
All I had in my savings account, $3,000. I talked it over with the wife, and the idea looked real good on paper.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to make too much money for myself out of this, but I thought that if I could get a hold of this braking system, it would certainly help the company out.
Mm-hmm. He took your money, and you haven't heard from him since.
Well, I presented the plans to the chief specifications engineer in our eastern office.
Yeah?
I got an answer yesterday, airmail. Our New York office has been working for 2 years on exactly the same set of brake planes.
And how'd he get a hold of them?
From the Patent Bureau in Washington.
Oh,
the company has a patent pending on the new device.
It's all legal, isn't it?
Yes. He simply got the information from them, drew up an exact copy, and submitted them to me.
He sold you an invention that your company already owned.
Yes, sir. And I'm out $3,000.
You know where Wallace might be now?
We've checked the boarding house where he was staying. He left there last night. No forwarding address, nothing.
We've got an all-out points bulletin on him. Do everything we can.
Well, thank you, Captain. Sergeant Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You have my card. If there's anything I can do to help, please call.
All right, Mr. Sawyer. Goodbye.
So long.
I don't know what we're looking for, Joe.
Well, let's see.
What's that, Romero?
On that phony ad the post office detail reported this morning. Check the name Barney Grant through the crime index. That's the name of the guy used.
Yeah?
Oh, this is the package on Gentleman Wallace.
That's right. His alias list goes for 3 pages. Read them again.
Charles French, Walter Grant, Charles Grant, Barney Grant.
That's right. Gentleman Wallace, Barney Grant, same guy.
We got out a local broadcast, an APB, and a radiogram on Charles Gentleman Wallace. For a full month, there wasn't a sign of him. Then we received a communication from the Denver, Colorado Police Department. Wallace had cashed worthless checks in that city in the amount of $2,500, and then he'd skipped town. But before he left Denver, he managed another deal. He sold 30 cartons of electric razors, which 1, did not belong to him, 2, had been stolen from another con man and resold, and 3, the razors didn't work in the first place. The mechanisms had been taken out and replaced with lead weights. Another 60 days passed before we got the next report on Wallace from Cleveland, Ohio. By means of forged papers, 2 well-versed assistants, or ropers, and a fast line of talk, Wallace had sold a Cleveland hardware concern a shipment of 10-penny nails, much below the market price. He collected $1,200 as partial payment for the shipment, but it was never delivered. 8 a.m., Monday, March 3rd. Ben and I checked in for work after a weekend off and found a message in the book to report to Chief of Detectives Thad Brown.
Chief, you want to see it?
Come in.
Yes, sir?
Gentleman Wallace is back in town.
Where'd you get that?
Guy by the name of Patterson. So.
All right, thanks.
Regan, have Patterson brought to the interrogation room.
Is that Mouse Patterson's keeper?
Yeah, small-time grifter. He was running with Wallace as late as a month ago back in Pittsburgh.
When was Patterson picked up?
Last night at a big hotel out in Hollywood. He was working a fast deal.
You think he came to town with Wallace?
I know he did. One of Conlon's informants spotted Wallace and Patterson last night. We nabbed Patterson. Wallace slipped away. We figured they'd been operating in and out of the city for about 2 weeks.
Any idea what his angle is this time?
I think so. Take a look at this.
Obituary notices. Clipped from the newspaper.
How do these tie in?
The con artist takes a dead man's name from the obituary list, finds out a little bit about him, and writes him a letter.
He writes the dead man a letter.
Here's a sample we had reported to us. Read it.
William Radford, 233 South Brookway, Hollywood. Dear Bill, I heard you were sick, and I didn't want to bother you at this time, but believe me, I'm desperate. I don't mean to hound you about the $400 you borrowed from me, but we are having sickness in our family, and I do need the cash. Wait a minute.
Wallace writes a letter like this to a man knowing he's dead, and the family opens it and reads it.
And they figure it's some unpaid debt that they didn't know about, which the deceased owed.
That's right. And the con man collects.
Yeah.
The letter's been showing up right in the middle of funeral arrangements. The family's bereaved, grief-stricken, caught off guard. They don't suspect anybody could be that ruthless, so they pay off what they think is a legitimate debt.
That sets a new low, doesn't it?
Excuse me. Ron speaking. All right, thanks. I got Patterson in the interrogation room. You two question him, find out everything you can.
Right, Chief.
When you're through talking to Patterson, you can start checking on these names.
What's this?
It's a list of all the names that appeared in the obituary column in today's paper.
It's a long list.
Don and Myberg are checking half. You and Romero take the rest.
Right.
Get to those families before Wallace does.
We went down the hall to the interrogation room and questioned Patterson for an hour and a half. He denied that he even knew Wallace. He refused to tell us anything. We had Patterson return to his cell in the county jail, and Ben and I started up to check with the relatives of the deceased who appeared in the daily obituary list. Adams, Connolly, Craig, Denberg, Donzetti, Edmonds, Fowler. None of them had received letters claiming payment of secret debts owed by the deceased. Well, there are more pleasant jobs than bothering families with an investigation in the middle of their sorrow. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. The 8th name on the obituary list was Foreman, Carl J. He was survived by his wife, Jean. She lived at 5821 Santiago Street out in the valley.
We're sorry to intrude at a time like this, Miss Foreman. We know how you must feel, but it's an important matter.
That's all right, Sergeant. Carl was sick for so long. Probably better this way. What did you want to know?
Since your husband passed away, have you received any letters asking for payments on a debt that he might have owed to somebody?
It's funny you should ask. Yes, I have. I got it yesterday.
Yesterday, huh? Do you know the man who wrote the letter?
No, I didn't. I took it for granted that it was someone Carl knew in the Army. Someone he'd borrowed from.
And how much money was it he said your husband owed him?
$400. There's a letter over the mantel. I'll get it for you.
Fine.
Here it is.
Thank you. Signs his name Howard Michaels. Has this man contacted you since?
Why, yes, he has. He called me last night and said that he'd just heard about Carl. He apologized for writing the letter. Said he had some medical bills of his own to pay. I went to the bank this morning and got the money for him. Is there anything wrong?
And he's supposed to come here and get the money?
He already has about 2 hours ago. He seemed to be a very good friend of Carl's.
Ben, you got that mug shot on?
Yeah. Yeah, here it is.
I don't understand, Sergeant.
Is this the man who picked up the money this morning?
Yes, that's Mr. Michaels. Don't you think he was Carl's friend?
I don't think so, Miss Foreman.
But no one would do that. Who could be that low?
You're looking at his picture, Miss Foreman. His name's Wallace.
You are listening to Dragnet for the step-by-step solution to an actual police case. Here, step-by-step, are the reasons why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers from coast to coast.
Step 1. The name Fatima has always stood for the best in cigarette quality. Step 2. Long cigarette smokers discover Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma. Step 3. Long cigarette smokers find Fatima extra mild. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild.
And that's why more and more smokers every day agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Yes, the name Fatima on that golden yellow package is your insurance of an extra mild smoke.
So, enjoy Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
Over the past century, the confidence man here in the United States has earned the dubious title of aristocrat of the underworld. Among small-time thieves, cutthroats, dope peddlers, pickpockets, and similar small fry, he's looked up to and respected. The true con man does not consider himself a crook or a thief in the ordinary sense of the word. He's smooth, courteous, fast-talking, and he lives by his own code of rules. He never uses violence. He makes his living by his wits alone. Generally, he's far above average intelligence, and he's totally without a conscience. He thinks no more of fleecing a day laborer of his wages than he would of fleecing a millionaire. Because of their carefully planned operations, only a handful of confidence men are ever brought to trial. Monday, March 3rd, 6 p.m. Ben and I completed our interviews with the families of the deceased and returned to the office.
Hi, you two have any luck?
Wallace is the guy. We found out that much.
Who identified him?
Woman out in the valley, a Mrs. Foreman. Wallace posed as an old friend of her husband's, took her for $400.
How about Colin and Myberg, Captain? They get anything?
They haven't checked in yet. I'm waiting for him. How does Mrs. Foreman make the payoff to Wallace? Through the mails?
No, sir. He came out and picked up the dough in person.
Yeah, then there's no chance of tracing him through the post office. Seems like he comes up with a new MO every day.
We checked out the rest of the families of the deceased on the list. Chief gave us no leads.
Don Myers in handwriting checked the letter Mrs. Foreman got. The writing matches with the others. It's Wallace.
Hi.
No, Conlon. Myberg with you?
Down the hall in handwriting. Checking a couple letters with Myers.
Do any good today, Harry?
Some. We found 2 families got phony letters through the mail. Same deal, Wallace.
Did they pay off to him yet?
Neither one. Told him to sit tight and call us if the guy should contact him again. Explain the setup.
Who are the people, Harry?
Let's see. One's an old fella. Oscar Dunn. Lives over in Highland Park. Others a pretty wealthy family, Bel Air. Here it is. Elizabeth Secor. She's the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Husband's name, Burton James Secor. Investment broker. Died day before yesterday.
How much of a debt is he supposed to have owed?
The guy in the letter claims $1,200. Signed himself William Kilbright.
The letters mention anything about how the payoff's supposed to be made?
The guy wrote he'd contact him by phone first, then make arrangements to meet him. Both families will call as soon as they hear from him.
No, if he doesn't change his M.O., we're set.
Conlon, you and Myberg stick with the family in Highland Park. Make sure they understand perfectly what the setup is. If Wallach makes a contact, be there.
Okay, Cap.
Joe, you and Ben cover the family out in Bel Air.
Okay, you got the Secor's address here?
Well, here's a crime report. It's got all the dope.
Good.
Now I'll grab it. Bunko, fugitive Conlon. Yes, ma'am? When? All right, thanks. We'll take care of it. Secors. Wallace just called him.
What's the pitch?
Wants to pay his respects. He's going to visit him tonight.
7:35 p.m. Monday, March 3rd. Ben and I drove out to Bel Air to the Secor place. It was an English-type mansion with a circular driveway out in front. The wake for Mr. Secor was being held in the living room. The butler showed us into the library where Mrs. Secor was waiting. She told us everything that had transpired since she first received the letter from Wallace following her husband's death. She said Wallace had promised to be at her home promptly at 9 p.m. We waited. 9 p.m. came and went. We told her that if the suspect should call, to make any concession, to agree to anything in order to set up a meeting with him. At 10 minutes past 10, the phone in the library rang. Mrs. Secor answered it. I listened in on the extension.
I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Secor. I did want to get out to pay my last respects, but I'm afraid that will be impossible.
Oh, I'm sorry you won't be able to come. I'd like to settle up that debt, the money that Burton owed you.
I do hope you understand, Mrs. Secor. It's very difficult for me to bring up such a subject at this time of your bereavement, but I do have need of the money. You see, it's my wife. She's quite ill, and, well, there are medical expenses to be met.
Oh, I understand. When would you like to come for the money?
Well, would tomorrow be all right?
My husband's funeral is tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Well, where will that be?
At the cathedral on Sunset Boulevard. A requiem mass at St. Mary's at 9 o'clock.
Well, since I don't want to bother you personally anymore, I wonder if it would be possible for you to leave the cash with the head usher there at the church.
Well, yes, all right. I think that would be the best way.
All right, then. Good night, and thank you.
Yes, good night.
I'm sorry. I know that's not easy for you.
That's all right, Sergeant. It's strange, isn't it?
What's that?
One man burns out his whole life making money. The next man spends his time trying to steal it. What does it all mean?
I don't know. We got 2,600 men down in the county jail. They all think they've got the right answer. Tuesday, March 4th, 9 a.m. In St. Mary's Cathedral on Sunset Boulevard, the final rites, a Requiem High Mass, was being celebrated for Bert and James Secor. Ben and I were stationed at the rear of the church. Conlon and Myberg, together with 2 other men from Bunko Detail, covered the side exits. An extra detail of men were placed at strategic points around the cathedral. The head usher stood a few feet from the main entrance. With him, he carried a plain manila envelope filled with pieces of newspaper cut to resemble the size of currency, along with a $1 bill. He had instructions to hand over the envelope without question to the person who asked for it.
15 minutes past 9, Joe.
Yeah. You see that head usher all right?
Yeah, I got him spotted.
All right. Pretty good-sized crowd here. Secor must have had lots of friends, huh?
Yeah. Nice choir. Just wondering, Joe.
What's that?
Suppose he doesn't show up?
Well, that's possible. He might have gotten suspicious.
Could be.
What time you got now?
It's 9:20. Joe, look. Uniformed messenger just came in the door.
Yeah. He's looking around. He's going up to the usher, talking to him.
That's it. Usher gave him the envelope. Messenger's leaving.
I know. Let's hold it. Give him a lead. All right, let's go. Now, let's go, Ben. Don't lose him.
He's getting into that cab.
Come on. Slide over.
You got the cab number?
Yeah, let's move. 10:30 a.m. Ben and I trailed the cab to a bus depot in downtown Los Angeles. We followed the messenger in and watched him check the manila envelope in a key locker. We waited. At 11:45 a.m., another uniformed messenger entered the bus depot, picked up the envelope, and left. We followed him to the Union Railroad station, where he left the envelope at the traveler's aid desk. At 3 p.m., the envelope was still there, unclaimed.
No sign, Joe. What do you think?
It's a pretty fancy switch he's got worked out.
Yeah.
What time's the next train leave?
3:25. Coast Limited for San Francisco.
It's 3:21 now. Wait a minute. See that porter over at the desk there?
I'm talking to that girl there. I don't know.
That's it. She's giving him the envelope. Come on.
Yeah. He's heading up the ramp.
Yeah, let's hustle.
You turn up the left?
Yeah. Passenger platform. Coast Limited.
Not much time.
Come on, run. Yep. Come on, Ben.
Where'd the porter get on?
Next car. Come on, run. Let's jump. This way. Through here.
That's the same porter?
Yeah. He's knocking at the door to that compartment, handing him the envelope.
That's it.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's locked.
Knock.
Yes? What is it?
Conductor.
Just a minute. What is this?
All right, Ben.
Now, look, Sergeant, there's no need for any unpleasantness. Certainly we can sit down and talk this thing over like intelligent human beings.
Grab the luggage, will you, Ben? All right, let's go, Wallace.
Look, wait a minute, please. I'm sure we can come to some agreement. I have plenty of money. Look, right here alone in this envelope, plenty of... There's only $1 here. The rest is newspaper.
Yeah.
I've been taken.
So have a lot of people. Let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 23rd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Long cigarette smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Long cigarette smokers find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Charles Gentleman Wallace was tried and convicted on 4 counts of grand theft and sentenced to the state penitentiary for the term prescribed by law, with holds being placed on him by 4 other states. You have just heard Dragnet, authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Dragnet wishes to thank the editors of True Detective magazine for their considerate appraisal of this program. For those of you who may be interested, the behind-the-scenes story of Dragnet appears in the March issue of True Detective.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Tomorrow, hear the Ronald Colmans in the charming series Halls of Ivy on NBC. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A police officer is shot down on the front steps of his home. There's no apparent motive for the shooting. The assailant escapes in a blue sedan. Your job, get him.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, king-size Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Long cigarette smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Long cigarette smokers find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, May 23rd. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was off duty reporting back in on an emergency call. It was 5 minutes past 3 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. How is he?
He's dead.
Oh? Went kind of fast, huh?
I just got the call a couple of minutes ago. He died in the Wet Hospital.
Friday, Ben, let's go. Thad Brown's office.
All right.
How did it happen, Skipper?
I haven't got all the details. Guy used a shotgun, point blank. Fillmore didn't have a chance.
Chief of the detective's office, he got crime lab? Yeah, out there now. Right.
Chief Regan?
Down the hall with Captain White, intelligence office. He said to have you wait.
Okay, we'll be inside.
Right.
You want to fill us in, Skipper?
No, not much to tell. Fillmore was working the day watch out of robbery. He left work at 6 o'clock last night, drove home.
Yeah.
He had dinner, then he and his wife went to a show. He got home about 11:30, went to bed.
Yeah?
About 1:30 this morning, the front doorbell rang and Fillmore answered it. His wife said she heard him open the door, and there was a gunshot. She ran to the front door in time to see a guy jump in a car and drive away. Fillmore was lying on the porch, chest ripped open.
You say the guy used a shotgun?
Yeah.
No other information on the car he used?
Blue sedan, that's all the wife could tell us. She didn't get the license number, said it looked like a new model car.
No physical evidence.
Haven't found anything yet.
Here's the ball.
Chief?
Elliot, you brief Friday and Romero?
Told him much as I know.
Any idea what the guy's motive was?
Revenge.
Any leads?
Just one. Then White Intelligence came up with it. A guy by the name of Jake Carver.
Carver? Not familiar.
He got out of Folsom 3 days ago. Served 7 years armed robbery.
Yeah.
Fillmore was the man who got Carver and sent him up. The time he was sentenced, Carver swore up and down he'd get Fillmore when he got out. Hot-headed punk.
Where do we look for Carver?
Already checked where he's supposed to be staying. Not there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a list of guys he used to run with before he went to Folsom.
Thanks.
Let's see, Joe.
Well, here it is. Ralph Danton, Ernie Travis, Jaime Flores.
Carver been seen around town since he got out?
Once that we know of in a bar out on Sunset Boulevard. Flores was with him.
Well, how about Travis and Danton? They still around?
Oh, let's see. Travis went east 2 years ago. Danton's around. Still runs with Flores. That's where you start.
Flores?
Yeah.
Okay. Any reason?
2. Flores' sister used to go with Carver.
Yeah.
Flores owns a blue sedan.
3:20 a.m. We checked Jaime Flores' last known address, the old 76 Hotel down in South Alameda. Flores had moved. His forwarding address was his mother's house, 1232 Alabama Street out in Boyle Heights. His mother told us Jaime was living on County View Avenue in Highland Park. 4:30 a.m. We located the address.
No garage here. Wonder where Jaime keeps his car.
Not parked on the street.
Yeah? What do you want?
Police officers.
Oh.
Like to talk to Jaime Flores?
Jaime? It's late. We're in bed.
It's important. We'd like to talk to him.
All right. Wait. I'll go get him up. Jaime. Come on, get up. Come on, Jaime. Cops at the door want to talk to you.
What'd they say?
They want to talk to you.
Okay, baby. Yeah, officers. What can I do for you?
You Jaime Flores?
That's right.
We're looking for Jake Carver. You know where he is?
Wish I did. I'm through with that guy.
Why? What's the matter?
He borrowed my car the day before yesterday. Said he'd only be gone a couple hours. I'm still waiting.
You own a blue sedan, is that right?
Yeah, 48 Chevy. Why, did he crack it up?
Couldn't tell you. Do you have any idea where we can look for Carver?
If I did, I'd be looking myself.
Do you know if Carver's got a gun?
Why, had Punk pull a job?
Does he have a gun?
In the trunk of the car. I use it on hunting trips.
What kind?
Shotgun.
4:45 a.m. We got out a broadcast and an APB on Jake Carver, containing a complete description of the car and its license number. Roadblocks were set up on all main roads leading out of the city, and police details at the airports, bus depots, and the railroad terminals were alerted. All of the people whom Carver was known to have run with before he was sent to Folsom Penitentiary were rounded up and brought in for questioning. While Captain Elliott from Homicide supervised the interrogation, Ben went across the street to check with a coroner at the morgue. I contacted Lee Jones at the crime lab. 6 a.m. We met in Chief of Detective Thad Brown's office.
Crime lab find anything?
Single footprint, that's all. Jones found it in one of the flower beds in front of Fillmore's home.
Is it tie-in?
Size 10. That's Carver's size.
A little help.
Is there any indication Carver might still be in the city?
No, there was a good 3 hours between the time Fillmore was shot and the roadblocks went up.
What about Carver's pals? Did they help any?
Well, Flores is the only one who admits seeing him since he got out.
What about Flores' sister, Dorothy?
She lives out in Long Beach. And Cena's and Burton are bringing her in now.
That guy, Flores, did you question him again, Elliot?
Yeah.
You satisfied with everything he told you that he knows?
That's right. He doesn't seem to be too close to Carver. No record of any correspondence with him while he was in Folsom.
How about the coroner's report now?
Shotgun, close range, hit him hard.
Well, there's mugshots of Carver. Are they out?
Photocopy's still working on it. Turning out 2,000.
Excuse me. Brown speaking. Albert. Right. They got Dorothy Flores in the interrogation room. You want to talk to her, Elliot?
Ben, you and Joe talk to her. Tell Encinas and Burton to check in here. I got another angle I want him to start on.
Right, let's go, Joe. He must be as mad as a hatter. 3 days out of Folsom and he kills a cop.
Yeah, if it was him.
You got any other idea?
We need more than a footprint. We got to find the gun, and we got to prove that he used it.
Hi. You two going to take over?
Yeah, Lloyd. You and Gil check in at the chief's office. The captain wants to see you.
Okay. You want the policewoman to stand by?
It's fine.
Let's go, Gil. See you guys later.
All right.
You're Dorothy Flores?
Yeah.
You know why you're here?
Jake Carver. That's what they told me.
That's right. You know where he is?
No.
Have you seen Carver in the past 3 days?
Look, I don't want any part of the guy. He's nothing to me. He never was.
You used to go around with him, didn't you?
7 years ago, before he went to Folsom.
Mm-hmm. What happened to your eye, Miss Flores? Those bruises there on your arm.
We had a party. I fell and bumped myself.
Looks like a pretty new black eye. Did you have the party last night?
I told you, Jake's nothing to me. He's a crazy hothead. I don't want any part of him.
Was he around to see you last night?
I used to go with him, that's all. I don't care what happened to him.
You saw him last night, huh?
I didn't.
This is on a murder rap, Miss Flores.
I didn't want to see him. He came to my room. He forced his way in. I didn't want any part of him.
When was it?
Early this morning.
What time?
About 2 o'clock, maybe 10 after. He wanted money, acted like a crazy man. I told him I didn't have any money. He slugged me. That's how I got this mouth.
What do you want the money for?
He said he got the cop who set him up. He had to get out of town. He took my purse, $48 in it.
Was he driving your brother's car?
Yeah. I didn't want any part of him. I got nothing in this.
Did he tell you where he was headed?
Mexico. He's got friends across the border. Tijuana.
All right. Stay with her, Ben.
And get a stenographer, too, will you?
Yeah.
Righty.
The Flores girl, Skipper. Carva saw her this morning. Admitted shooting Fillmore. She says he's headed south for Tijuana.
Maybe he stopped off on the way.
How do you mean?
The drugstore in San Pedro just held up. Owner was shot and killed.
Yeah?
The guy was driving a blue sedan.
An immediate alert was teletyped to the coastal town south of Los Angeles in the vicinity of San Pedro. The San Diego police were alerted, as were the Mexican authorities in Tijuana and other designated points of entry along the California-Mexico border. 7:50 a.m. Ben and I, together with Lloyd Barton and Al Shambra of Homicide, drove down to San Pedro and checked in with Lieutenant Maxwell at San Pedro Homicide.
What kind of a gun did the guy use, Lieutenant?
I checked the body. Looks like it could have been a .45.
No chance it might have been a shotgun?
No, not that kind of a wound.
Who saw the guy make his getaway?
My wife did. We live right across the street from the drugstore. Wife heard the shooting, ran to the window. She says it was a blue sedan.
She didn't see the license plate?
No. I got a look at the car before it disappeared. It looked like a Chevy to me.
There's been no sign of it since the roadblocks went up?
Not yet. It's pretty hard to understand.
How do you mean?
Take a look at the map here. Here's Palos Verdes and Clifton to the west. Roadblocks there.
Yeah, huh?
Here's the roadblock to the north, just this side of Harbor City. Another one northeast, near Wilmington.
Yeah.
This one here, outside of Long Beach.
Had 4 roads to pick from.
They're all blocked off, huh?
No turnoffs, no detours. All the roads are under patrol.
You think he got south beyond Long Beach before the roadblocks went up?
Not a chance.
Yeah, it's hard to figure.
He could be hiding out somewhere along the way.
Excuse me, man. This is Lieutenant Maxwell. Where? Okay, be right there.
Anything?
I found the car off the Coast Highway, blue Chevy sedan.
How about Carver?
Bloodstains in the front seat. That's all they found.
You are listening to Dragnet for the step-by-step solution to an actual police case. Here, step-by-step, are the reasons why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers from coast to coast.
Step 1. The name Fatima has always stood for the best in cigarette quality. Step 2. Long cigarette smokers discover Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma. Step 3. Long cigarette smokers find Fatima extra mild. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild.
And that's why more and more smokers every day agree
it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Yes, the name Fatima on that golden yellow package is your insurance of an extra mild smoke.
So enjoy king-size Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
8:45 a.m. We found the blue Chevrolet sedan. It was lying overturned in a ditch just off a dead-end road on the edge of a grove of eucalyptus trees. Oil was still dripping from the crankcase. There were bloodstains on the upholstery in the front seat. In the glove compartment, we found 2 empty shotgun shells. Ben marked them with his initials for evidence and wrapped them in a handkerchief. The fingerprint men were called. We fanned out and started a search of the general area.
See if we can't pick up a trail in this eucalyptus grove here. Sure has got me beat.
What's that?
The car all smashed up back there, blood all over. The guy must have been hurt. How'd he get this far away from the car?
What makes you think he did get far?
Either that or he's hiding right under our nose. No sign of a trail through here?
No, there's nothing. There's a clearing up ahead. Come on, let's cut through this brush here. Ben, come here.
Yeah.
Take a look. The trunk of this tree.
Brown smears on it. Blood?
Maybe. Look, higher up on the trunk there is the same thing. Wait a minute.
Up in the tree. Can you see anything up there?
No, the branches are pretty thick. Trees go pretty high up. Good 60 feet up there.
Come here, Joe.
Yeah?
Follow my hand. No, just over at the left where I'm pointing.
Oh, yeah.
Cover, Ben. You all right, Joe?
Yeah. Can you see him?
Yeah, up near the top. Right.
Stay off, Burton. Don't come in the clearing. He's up in one of the trees.
Throw that gun down, then come down yourself.
All right, Ben.
Ready, Joe.
It's Carver.
Shotgun's over there. You alive?
Yeah.
It's a hard tree to climb. Wonder how he got up there.
I don't know. But this was the only way to get him down. We called an ambulance and had Jake Carver taken back to Los Angeles to the county hospital, the prison ward. We took the shotgun and the empty shells and booked them as evidence with the property clerk. The wrecked blue sedan was impounded. 2 counts of murder were filed against Carver with the district attorney. There was still one important piece of evidence missing, the .45 pistol used in the robbery and murder of the San Pedro druggist. A month passed. While Carver recuperated in the prison ward of the county hospital, we were busy building a case for his conviction. We still had only enough evidence to convict him for one of the murders. Another 2 months went by. On August 30th, Jake Carver was brought to trial for the shotgun murder of police officer Robert Fillmore. 10 days later, the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to a life term in Folsom Penitentiary. Knowing that we didn't have enough evidence to convict his client for the murder of the druggist, Carver's lawyer demanded an immediate trial on the second charge. Wednesday, September 12th, 10 a.m. I was called at the chief of detective's office.
Roddy, sit down.
Thank you.
Elliot and I have been talking about this Jake Carver thing.
They set the trial date yet?
Starts next Tuesday. Bringing Carver down from Folsom tomorrow.
It's bum luck. We're not going to convict him on the evidence we've got. We don't even have the gun.
We've got to get a conviction. He beat the death rap for killing Fillmore. If he gets over this one, it means he's still eligible for parole.
Yeah.
So he serves 10 years, maybe. Good behavior. He gets out and he's ready to start in all over again.
Yeah, if we could just sew him up for killing that druggist, we could put him away for good.
I don't know how, Skipper. It's a pretty good bet that no jury will convict him unless we find that gun.
We got another out. Just one.
What's that?
If we can get Carver to admit he killed that druggist.
It's a neat trick.
When you and Ben got him last May, did he see you at all? You think he could recognize you again?
Well, couldn't have gotten a very good look from where he was up in that tree. Ben did all the testifying at the trial. I wasn't even there. Now, he wouldn't know me. Why?
When they bring Carver down from Folsom tomorrow, they'll put him in county jail while he's waiting trial.
Yeah.
Chief figures if we could plant you in the same cell with him, there's a chance he might talk, if you play it right.
No, I don't know. He's no beginner.
Neither are you. If you carve enough of the right bait at the right time, there's a chance he'll put his foot in it.
Maybe. All right, will you set it up with the county jail?
Yeah, and remember, he's a killer. Don't take any chances.
Suppose he gets wise.
Well, then we'll know you tried.
The following day at 2 p.m., I was booked at Central Jail as Joe Ramos, a robbery suspect. Ramus was the actual name of an eastern thief whom we knew was not acquainted with Jake Carver. After being mugged and fingerprinted, transportation officers took me to the 12th floor of the Hall of Justice, where I was booked into the county jail. After that, I was taken down to a cell block on the 10th floor known as the High Power Tank, where prisoners charged with major crimes are held. During the day, the individual cells are left open, and the prisoners are allowed to visit with one another. I was taken back and shown the cell I was assigned to. Jake Carver was already there. He was playing two-handed poker with another inmate on the lower bunk.
Here you are, Ramus. This cell here. You can take the top bunk.
All right.
How many cards you want?
Make it 2, Jake.
Hey, move, will you? I want to get in my bunk.
Come on, make your bet.
Says 2 cigarettes.
You're 2, bunk you 6.
I said I'd like to get in my bunk.
Go on, Sam. Play the game.
Okay. We'll see you.
Maybe you didn't hear me, Sam. I said I want to get in my bunk.
I heard you, Mac. I don't like shoving around like this.
All right, now sit down. What's your complaint?
Didn't they tell you when you came through the door? They bury you in the hole for beefing in here.
Then as long as I'm in here with you, let's get it straight right now. Don't bother me. And while you're at it, keep your rum-dum pals out of here, you understand?
I don't think I do.
You'll be around quite a while, smart guy. I won't forget this.
Oh, yeah.
Chow time. Come on, here it is. What are you doing down there, Dobbin?
Nothing. I always sit on the floor.
Get back to your cell. Chow.
Yeah. See you, Jake.
What's this junk they feed you?
Boiled beef, boiled potatoes. It's a habit with them here.
Junk. Can you buy from the outside?
Candy. Sometimes pie. Guy comes around in the morning. Who are you?
Joe Ramus.
Ramus, huh? Chicago?
I've been there.
So have I. I'm Jake Carver. Hiya.
All right.
What are you up for?
Talk to my lawyer.
You got a smart mouth.
You got a big one. You take care of your own worries, huh? I'll take care of mine.
I ain't got any worries. I got it made. Hey, you want that piece of bread?
I don't want any of it. Take it.
Tell the truth, I never had it so good. No witnesses, no evidence. You can't touch me.
Sure. That's why you're in here. 3 days passed. By playing the part of the tough gunman from Chicago, I succeeded in getting close to Carver. Because of the close confinement, I was with him almost constantly, but he still refused to confide. In a roundabout way, I pressed him as much as I could for the answer without making him suspicious. No results. 8:55 p.m. Sunday, 2 days before the trial opened. Sam, Jake Carver, and I were playing blackjack in the aisle just outside our cell.
All right, Sam, hit me.
There you are.
Okay, I'm good.
Ramus?
I'll stand.
18. Pay 19.
That's all for me.
Me too. I'm going to hit the sack.
Yeah, just when I start to come back.
Always crying.
Hey, Ramus, seems to me I remember you. Haven't I seen you around City Hall?
Sure, I live there.
All right, it's time. Lock up.
No, seems to me I remember.
Ramus? What's he talking about?
I don't know. I get a headache. It's killing me.
Yeah? Sure, let me crack your neck. It'll help it.
No, it's no good. You got any of them brown pills?
Come on, I'll crack your neck. Loosen up those nerves. Always helps me.
Yeah?
Yeah, here, let me show you. Come on, turn around.
Take it easy.
Just relax. Let yourself go.
Yeah.
I'll get my hands around the back of your neck. Come on, relax. Well, this won't hurt you.
All right.
You got to be careful with this stuff. You could break a guy's neck, you know.
Take it easy, huh?
What's the matter? Come on, relax.
All right.
Let me get a better grip on your neck.
Take it easy, huh?
All right, now. Yeah. All there is to it. How's that?
That's not bad. Feels a little better. I'll work someday.
Sure. Hey, I noticed you had a visitor today. One of the boys in the East?
No. A friend of mine out here. He just got in town. The coppers are trying to pin a killing on him.
No? Who is he?
Max Wesley. A good man. Tried to say he pulled a job down in San Pedro.
Pedro, huh? What kind of job?
Stick up. Drugstore a couple months ago.
Yeah? That's what they got me on, you know?
It's funny. I think I'll get some shut-eye.
What about this job they're trying to hang on him, he tell you?
I don't remember. The guy who ran the store was shot up, I think. Died. Max wasn't even in town when it happened.
Happened in May? Last May?
I don't know. I'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
Hard bed.
They didn't have nothing on Max, huh? They let him go.
Oh, not yet. He's out on bail.
No, I mean, no evidence on him. No gun, huh?
Yeah, they got a gun. I think that's what Max said.
Where'd they find it, he say?
I don't know where they found it. Go to sleep, will you?
He mentioned anything else about Pedro, like San Pedro Hills?
Yeah. Maybe that's where they found it. I think Max said that.
No. That couldn't be. All right. Understand that. Hey, Ramos, it wasn't the Harbor drugstore, was it?
What's eating you anyway? Will you go to sleep?
Look, Ramos, I gotta know. It's important.
What are you talking about? I gotta get some sleep.
Will you listen a minute? I ditched the gun down there in the San Pedro Hills.
All right, what are you worrying about? They don't send you up for hiding guns?
Listen, I'm hot on that job. They got me on one murder rap. If they tag me in another one, it's for keeps.
What do you want me to do? Talk to the governor?
Are you sure this guy Max said that they found a gun?
Now, look, Carver. Max said they found a gun in the San Pedro Hills. Now, you get on down in your bunk and let's talk about it in the morning, huh?
What kind? Did he say what kind?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Was it a 45?
Something like that, yeah. 45, I guess that was it. Let's go. Got the jailer barking down here.
Quiet down in there.
All right. You go to sleep now?
Can't be. It's not the same one. They couldn't have found it. They haven't talked to me. Ramos. When did they find the gun? Did Max tell you that? When did they find the gun? Wait.
I don't know.
He didn't say where?
San Pedro Hills.
Ramos, I gotta know. Wasn't by a covert, was it? On the hill road?
I don't know. I'll ask Max the next time I see him. Is that where you ditched yours?
They couldn't have found it. Nobody could have. It was this covert, see, back on the road.
Yeah.
There was a piece of cement broken off the bottom edge of the covert, kind of a hollowed-out space inside. I pushed the dirt all around it. You gotta ask Max. Ask him where they found that gun.
Yeah, I'll see him Wednesday. I'll ask him.
You gotta find out. They could put me away for good.
What are you worrying about? They haven't paired you up yet with the gun they found?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Maybe they didn't figure it. Maybe they forgot.
Maybe.
Yeah. Cops are dumb. They forget. That's what everybody says, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 18th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 91, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, king-size Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Long cigarette smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Long cigarette smokers find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The murder gun, a .45 caliber automatic pistol, was recovered from the San Pedro Hills, and Jacob John Carva was brought to trial. He was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. The jury again refused to recommend the death penalty. Carva is now serving a life term in the state penitentiary without possibility of parole. You have just heard Dragnet, authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Dragnet wishes to thank the editors of Radio Best magazine for their considerate appraisal of this program. For those of you who may be interested, a novelized version of Dragnet appears in the April issue of Radio Best.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Tomorrow, hear Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman in the Halls of Ivy on NBC.